Chapter 1558. Chapter 1558. Chapter 1558. Ternary Formation. What happened? Di Lin, who had been chasing after Ningyu at full speed, suddenly heard a loud roar, which made him a little confused. Di Lin knew very well that it was Di Gang who had spoken. In Di Lin's memory, he had sent Di Gang to the giant shield city to investigate. Why did Di Gang warn him? At the thought of this, Di Lin looked toward the city gate of Giant Shield City. Hiss! Di Lin sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw what was inside. Outside the city gate, Di Gang floated in the air. His aura was at its lowest. At this moment, even a true realm martial artist could easily kill Di Gang. Today, I will flatten Giant Shield City. Di Gang's miserable state caused Di Lin's expression to turn extremely ugly. One must know that Di Gang was a genuine heavenly supreme powerhouse, one of the upper echelons of the divine Emperor Palace. Now Di Gang's aura had fallen to rock bottom and he might even die. If Di Gang was killed here, it would be a great loss to the Emperor Divine Palace. In fact, even he could not absolve himself from the blame. After all, he had come here with Di Gang. Not only had he failed to accomplish his mission, but even Di Gang had been killed. He would not be able to bear the consequences. Di Lin's eyes turned bloodshot at the thought of this. There's a formation here, you must not. Seeing Di Lin's blood-red eyes, Di Gang hurriedly said, Die. However, how could a furious Di Lin listen to Di Gang's advice? Terrifying vital qi appeared around his ankles and began to burn rapidly. Qi. The rapidly burning yuan qi caused Di Lin's speed to increase by several times. Di Lin, who was not far away from Ningyu, directly caught up with Ningyu after this acceleration. Clenching his right hand into a fist, Di Lin threw out a punch that brought up a strong gust of wind towards Ningyu's head. Di Lin's idea was simple. He wanted to blow up Ningyu's head and swallow his primordial spirit. Whoosh! What happened next caused Di Lin to be a little stunned. His fist did hit Ningyu's head, but it went through Ningyu's head. Afterimage. Di Lin reacted quickly. Almost in an instant, he determined that the Ningyu in front of him was an afterimage. Xiu! On the other side, Ningyu's body gradually appeared. Die! Seeing Ningyu's real body, Di Lin dashed out again. Di Lin had already made up his mind. No matter what, he would send Ningyu to hell today. Facing Di Lin, who was charging towards him, Ningyu stood his ground with his arms crossed in front of his chest. The corners of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. He wasn't running away. Even though Di Lin was fast and had reached the mid-heavenly supreme realm, Ningyu was fearless. Something's wrong. Seeing that Ningyu didn't respond, Di Lin's heart raced. He felt that something was wrong. However, Di Lin's worry was soon overshadowed by his raging, killing intent. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched at Ningyu's head with a violent primordial qi gale. This time, Di Lin's judgment was correct. The Ningyu in front of him was not an afterimage, but the real Ningyu. You're going to die this time. Di Lin could almost see Ningyu's miserable state when he was killed by him. He couldn't help but reveal a devilish smile. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, 3 huge primordial qi light pillars suddenly appeared in front of Ningyu. The primordial qi light pillars didn't stop and immediately charged at Di Lin. I knew something was wrong. Di Lin immediately gave up on attacking Ningyu. Instead, he threw out 2 more punches, which collided with the 3 yuan qi light pillars. Qi! 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 Di Lin was indeed a mid-heavenly supreme. The 3 punches he threw out shattered the 3 yuan qi light pillars at the same time. Ha ha ha! Do you really think you can kill me with these random attacks? Di Lin let out an angry roar after destroying the primordial qi light pillars. Today, I'll teach you a lesson. In the face of absolute power, all tricks are useless. Break! Di Lin went crazy and tried to break the ternary formation. Lin used all kinds of terrifying spells and attacked the ternary formation around him. Master Zhao, how long can your ternary formation trap Lin? Ning Yu asked as he looked at Lin, who kept attacking the ternary formation. A few martial artists appeared next to Ning Yu. Master Xingyan, Master Zhao, Golden Arowana King, Bada, Fairy Yunxi, and Palace Master Baihua. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Master Zhao said in a deep voice, "It can trap a mid-heavenly supreme martial artist for about 3 hours." 3 hours? Ning Yu frowned slightly and started to think of a countermeasure. Lin was a mid-heavenly supreme. Even if the ternary formation could trap him for a short time, it couldn't defeat him like Gang. In other words, within these 3 hours, Ning Yu had to think of a way to deal with Lin. Otherwise, when the ternary formation was broken, the entire giant shield city would be plunged into misery and suffering. After all, there wasn't a single person in Giant Shield City who could fight against a mid-stage Sky Supreme. Can we keep him in the Tower of Ascension? Seeing Ning Yu's expression, Grandmaster Xing Yun couldn't help saying, "Even heavenly sovereigns like the God Emperor Palace's ancestor and the Jin clan's ancestor can be imprisoned in the Tower of Ascension. In my opinion, Lin can also be imprisoned in the Tower of Ascension. The Emperor Palace ancestor and the Jin family ancestor are only early heavenly sovereigns, and they're already under control. It's not a problem to keep them in the Tower of Ascension." Ning Yu shook his head. Lin is different. The ternary formation can only trap him, not control him. There's only one way to keep him in the Tower of Ascension, and that's to control him. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Master Xingyun and the rest fell silent. To control a middle stage heavenly supreme? That was an almost impossible task. Strictly speaking, Su and Jin Bo's strength was only sealed, and they weren't under their control. They could control their lives, but they couldn't order them to do anything. It was already so difficult to control an early heavenly supreme, and now they wanted to control a mid-heavenly supreme? Wasn't that a fool's dream? It's not like there's no way. Seeing the dejected look on Master Xingyun and the rest, Ning Yu said, "As long as we can heavily injure Lin, with the help of the few of you, we can definitely control him. The most important thing is how to heavily injure Lin," the Golden Arowana King said with a solemn expression. At this time, even the usually talkative Golden Arowana King became silent. No one was clearer than him about the destructive power of a mid-stage heavenly supreme. In the past, an early heavenly supreme Golden Arowana King had appeared in the Golden Arowana King clan. At that time, that Golden Arowana King ruled over a large area of the Ruo Shui River, forcing the other Golden Arowanas to lose their footing. In the end, one Golden Arowana King swallowed a medicinal pill and temporarily raised his cultivation to mid-heavenly supreme. In just one move, that early heavenly supreme, Golden Arowana King, was killed. As far as the Golden Arowana King knew, a mid-heavenly supreme of the human race couldn't be compared to the Golden Arowana clan. But a mid-heavenly supreme of the human race definitely had terrifying destructive power. Chapter 1559. Trap. I told you it's not like there's no way. Ning Yu's face was extremely solemn. He looked at Fairy Yunxi and said, Tuahi is a demon spirit realm initial stage Sky Supreme. As long as we throw him into the ternary formation and control him to self-destruct, I don't believe that Lin can withstand it. Whoosh! Ning Yu's words made Fairy Yunxi and the rest's faces turn ugly. Make a Sky Supreme self-destruct? This was the city gate of Giant Shield City. The self-destruction of a Sky Supreme would definitely affect Giant Shield City. By then, even if Giant Shield City wasn't blasted into ruins, it wouldn't be far from it. I object. Fairy Yin, she said without hesitation. A Sky Supreme self-destruct is a serious matter. We can't make a rash decision. I need to discuss this with the old ancestor. As she spoke, Fairy Yin Shi's figure flashed, and she entered Giant Shield City. Suit yourself. Ningyu shrugged. He wasn't in a rush. There were still 3 hours before Di Lin broke the ternary formation. In these 3 hours, Ningyu had another thing to do. Law of space brings Xia over. Ningyu's mind stirred, and he started to connect with the laws of space. Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu's voice landed, the law of space moved and appeared with Xia, Di Ling Tian. Grandmaster Xingyan and the rest's faces changed when they saw the law of space. They immediately surrounded the law of space. As soon as Ningyu gave the order, the law of space would be blasted into a pile of sand. Don't be like this. I might be Di Ling Tian, but I've already forsaken the darkness for the light. The law of space wouldn't expose the fact that it was the law of space. He quickly waved his hand. Di Lin and Di Gang, those two trash, actually want to go against the gods? I think they must be tired of living. Cut the crap. Toss evil one over to me. Then, you obediently squat on the other side. You did not want to talk nonsense with the law of space. His time was limited. In 3 hours' time, he had to force out the cultivation method of evil's myriad incarnations. You made up his mind. If Evil One refused to speak, he would use a secret technique to devour his memories. If it was before, Ningyu would not have dared to swallow Xia Yi's soul power. After all, Xia Yi was a peak expert of the Pill Puppet Clan. It was only because he cultivated the 1,000 freedom transformations that his strength had dropped. As long as he was given a chance, he would definitely be able to make a comeback. Master Xingyan, I need you to use your soul power to suppress Xia Yi. I want to devour his memory. Ningyu did not want to beat around the bush, so he said to Master Xingyan directly, without my permission, do not let Evil One use his soul power. No problem. Master Xingyan nodded. In his opinion, using soul power to control Xia Yi wasn't a big deal. But Ningyu's next words made Master Xingyan's face turn serious. Ningyu turned to the golden arowana fish king and said solemnly, seal Xia Yi's yuan qi. Remember, do not let him use any of it. Roger. Although he had many questions, he knew that he only needed to follow Ningyu's instructions. There was no need to ask anything else. Master Zhao, I will give you an hour to set up a soundproof array. Ningyu looked at Master Zhao and said in a low voice, no problem. The moment Ningyu's voice fell, Master Zhao started to get busy. Setting up a soundproof array was not a problem for Master Zhao. He only needed a few minutes to set it up. But looking at Ningyu's serious face, Master Zhao knew that the soundproof array Ningyu needed was special. Other than Ningyu and Xia Yi, no one else could hear it, including himself. Swish, 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 swish. With Ningyu and Xia Yi in the center, Master Zhao began to focus on setting up the soundproof array. Time always passes unknowingly. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. In this hour, Master Zhao only did one thing. That was to set up a soundproof array for Ningyu. Done. After an hour of work, Master Zhao finally set up the soundproof array. Very good. Ningyu slightly unleashed his perception and then nodded, expressing his satisfaction. With Ningyu's current strength, he could not set up a soundproof array that could block out Sky Supremes. However, Grandmaster Zhao was different. His strength was a whole level higher than Ningyu's. Naturally, he could set up a formation that could isolate Sky Supremes. Let's begin. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu looked at Xia Yi and said, tell me the chant for the art of infinite transformation, and I will spare your life. I will let you be my follower. Don't even think about it. Xia Yi was furious and shouted, even if I self-destruct, I won't tell you. Just wait for the 1,000 free embodiment technique to disappear with me. That's not up to you. Smiling faintly, Ningyu unleashed his powerful soul power and entered Xia Yi's mind. Ningyu's method was simple. He was devouring Xie Yi's memories. Aha! The intense pain in his mind caused Xie Yi to go crazy, and a hysterical scream came from his mouth. Evil One wanted to resist, but his soul power and Yuan Qi were being controlled. Right now, he was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. He wanted to, but he didn't have the strength. Pucci, looking at Ningyu devouring his memories, Xie Yi was so angry that he spat out blood, his face green. I gave you a chance. You didn't know how to cherish it. Ningyu shrugged and continued to devour. Xie Yi was the absolute hope of the Pill Puppet clan, and his position in the clan was extremely high. After devouring a portion of Xie Yi's memories, Ningyu learned many secrets. This included the stronghold of the Pill Puppet clan in the Sky Demon region, where there were more pill puppets and where their resources were stored. All of this information was kept by Ningyu. As for the trivial things in Xie Yi's life, Ningyu chose to filter them out. Or else, Xie Yi's memories were enough to turn Ningyu into an idiot. The art of infinite transformation is indeed powerful. Each clone is a part of my life and experience. Ningyu was secretly relieved. Luckily, he had lived 2 lives and his brain was bigger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to handle all of Xie Yi's memories. Found it. After a full 10 minutes, Ningyu finally found useful information in Xie Yi's memories. Decades ago, Xie Yi obtained the art of infinite transformation. As for how he obtained it, even Xie Yi's memories were blurry. If Xie Yi himself didn't know, then Ningyu definitely wouldn't know. The main character is here. Suddenly, Ningyu's face was filled with ecstasy. Chapter 1560. Red Devils Request the Art of Boundless Embodiment had 3 stages. The first stage was the beginner stage, also known as the beginner stage. As long as one could cultivate 100 doppelgangers and use a special method to devour them, then one would have succeeded in the beginner stage. The second stage was the 10,000 stage. This stage was easy to understand. In other words, one had to cultivate up to 10,000 doppelgangers and be able to control each doppelganger's movements. This stage was extremely difficult to cultivate. Throughout history, the number of martial artists who had successfully cultivated this stage could not be counted on one hand. As for the third stage, it was even more terrifying. Embodiment transformation. The third stage was called embodiment transformation, also known as embodiment transformation. The literal meaning was hard to understand, but Ningyu was very clear. Embodiment transformation was to condense thousands of doppelgangers into 3 doppelgangers. One represented the past, one represented the present, and one represented the future. The most heaven-defying part of the embodiment transformation was the future doppelganger, because in the past, Ningyu's strength was weaker. Now, Ningyu's strength was not strong either. Although the future was full of variables, the future doppelgangers formed by the art of boundless embodiment would be much stronger than they were now. It was not an exaggeration to describe it as insane and terrifying. Each stage is harder than the last. No wonder Xie Yi couldn't even complete the first stage. After devouring Xie Yi's memories, Ningyu took in a deep breath. The art of boundless embodiment transformation was a synonym for terrifying. From Xie Yi's memories, Ningyu also learned a terrifying truth. Out of 10,000 peerless geniuses who cultivated the myriad embodiment technique, only a few could successfully cultivate the first stage. As for the second stage, there were only 3 in history. However, not a single one had reached the final stage of cultivation. At least from Xie Yi's memories, Ningyu did not find any clues. Xie Yi, I'm giving you one last chance. Submit to me. Ningyu did not kill Xie Yi immediately. Instead, he retracted his soul power and said, "As long as you submit to me willingly, I can consider letting you live." Xie Yi sat on the ground like a dead dog. His breathing was weak and his eyes were dim. Having one's memories forcibly devoured by someone else was extremely damaging to one's body. Even if Xie was a fourth-grade Earth sovereign, he couldn't bear it. What? You don't want to submit to me? Looking at Mo Yen, Ningyu frowned. Since you don't want to submit to me, I will send you to hell. Actually, Ningyu really wanted Xie to stay. Because Xie was the king of the Pill Puppet Clan, his position in the Pill Puppet Clan was extremely high. In the future, he would definitely encounter experts from the Pill Puppet Clan. When the time came, he could use Evil One as his trump card. It would definitely have an unexpected effect. However, even though Ningyu didn't want to kill Xie, if Xie didn't do anything, Ningyu would have to kill him. As the saying goes, weeds will grow again if the roots are not removed. Ningyu wanted to keep Xie, but he didn't want to keep a troublemaker like Xie. I choose to submit to you. Seeing that Ningyu wanted to kill him, Xie roared with all his might. Xie wasn't a fool. Only by staying alive would he have a chance of survival. Now you want to submit to me? It's too late. Ningyu shrugged and flicked his wrist. In an instant, the red demon's sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed at Xie's head. Wait! However, before the red demon's sword could land on Xie's head, an anxious voice entered Ningyu's ears. Hearing this, Ningyu immediately stopped. The one who spoke was none other than the red demon's sword. In this period of time, the red demon's sword had been hiding in the red demon's sword. At first, Ningyu thought that the red demon's sword was hiding in the red demon's sword because of his and the Dark Emperor's rapid increase in strength. But recently, Ningyu realized that the red demon's sword was hiding not because of his inferiority, but because he was doing something big. After the relentless efforts of the red demon's sword, he finally broke through the entire red demon's sword. One had to know that Ningyu had entered the space within the red demon sword before. At that time, Ningyu discovered that there were several spaces within the red demon sword, and there seemed to be a secret in the deepest part. But since then, Ningyu didn't have the time to investigate, so the matter was left unsettled. Some time ago, after the red demon's sword's strength increased, he began to open up the space within the red demon's sword. Who would have thought that after a period of hard work, the space within the red demon's sword was actually opened up by the red demon's sword? Why is Xie useful to you? Ningyu's mind shook as he began to communicate with the red demon. I discovered that in the deepest part of the red demon sword, there is an ancient array. In front of the array, there is a stone tablet. There are 2 words carved on the stone tablet. Taking a deep breath, the red demon said in a low voice, Dan Qi! Dan Qi. Hearing the red demon's words, Ningyu was slightly taken aback at first. Then he hurriedly said, could it be that the array is suppressing an unparalleled expert of the Dan Qi clan? There was a stone tablet in front of the array, and the words Dan Qi were carved on it. Anyone would think that the array was suppressing a Dan Qi. Ningyu was no exception. He thought so too. According to my observation, 80% of it is a Dan Qi, said the red demon. What do you want Xie for? Do you want Xie to break the array? Ningyu asked curiously. I want Xie's blood because the stone tablet in front of the array not only has the words Dan Qi carved on it, but there is also a small line of words. The red demon continued, the meaning of the small line of words is easy to understand. Every once in a while, the blood of the Dan Qi clan has to be dripped into the stone tablet. Otherwise, the array will be broken. The Dan Qi are not the same as humans. Humans have blood, but the Dan Qi clan has no blood. Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. Unless it is a king of the Dan Qi clan, like Xie, only they can have blood. Something that requires the blood of the Dan Qi clan to suppress must be extremely terrifying. The blood on the stone tablet is already very thin. If we wait any longer, I am afraid that something will go wrong with the array. The red demon did not hide anything from Ningyu. He said, you can enter the red demon's sword and take a look before you make a decision. There is no need. How can I not trust you? Ning Yu waved his hand and grabbed Xie Yi. Ignoring Xie Yi's resistance, he threw Xie Yi into the red demon sword. Oh yes, it is best that you do not use the red demon sword for now. Ever since I opened the space inside the red demon sword, I realized that the red demon sword is evolving towards a higher level. After leaving these words behind, the red devil completely disappeared without a trace. The Dark Emperor is in seclusion, and so is the red demon. Ning Yu shrugged and shrugged. Looks like I will be in seclusion too, voila. Chapter 1561. Falling Out. Looking at Fairy Yun Shi and Xie Zhe flying towards him, Ning Yu's face was filled with helplessness. The ternary formation could only trap Di Lin for 3 hours. Only an hour had passed, and Fairy Yun Shi and Xie Zhe had already appeared. It didn't make sense. Originally, Ning Yu thought that Fairy Yun Shi and Xie Zhe would definitely come at the last moment to negotiate with him. But now it seemed that he was wrong. Ning Yu, are you planning to use the self-destruction of a Sky Supreme to deal with Di Lin? When Xie Zhe appeared, he did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. There are 2 difficulties in this matter. Firstly, the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign is extremely powerful, and even the giant shield city might be affected. So we have to think twice before we act. Second, Di Lin is a peerless expert from God Emperor Palace. If we kill him here, the consequences will be unimaginable. How could Ning Yu not know what Xie Zhe was talking about? Putting everything aside, he had to analyze Xie Zhe's 2 problems. Which one of them was a problem? First, although the self-destruction of a Sky Supreme was powerful, Giant Shield City had a peerless killing array. As long as the peerless killing array was activated, Giant Shield City would definitely be safe. As for the second problem, it was a little nonsensical. They're coming to kill you, and you're still being kind and benevolent? Do you have to wait for someone to place a knife on your neck before you come to your senses? Or will you still smile at them when they chop off your head? Of course. Ning Yu wouldn't tell Xie Zhe what he was thinking. He crossed his arms in front of his chest. Don't talk nonsense with me. Tell me, what do you want? Ha ha ha, heroes come from the young. Since you've put it this way, I'll get straight to the point. Xie Zhe laughed awkwardly. He immediately lowered his voice and said, My idea is very simple. I want you to tell me the pill formula for the Jia pill so that I can have a good understanding of it. Humph. You really want the formula for the Jia pill? Ning Yu sneered in his heart, but he did not show any dissatisfaction on the surface. Instead, Ning Yu said generously, Bring me a pen and paper. I'll write the recipe for you now. Whoosh! Xie Zhe had been waiting for this moment. With a flick of his wrist, a sheepskin scroll flew towards Ning Yu. If I write the pill formula on a sheepskin scroll, it can be kept for a long time. Seeing that Ning Yu had caught the sheepskin scroll, Xie Zhe continued, As long as you write down the pill formula, I'll make Tua he explode immediately. Through Fairy Yun Shi, Xie Zhe already knew what had happened. Xie Zhe was very confident, especially after seeing Di Lin in the ternary formation. He became even more confident. If Ning Yu wanted to kill Di Lin, he would need a heavenly supreme expert to self-destruct. Since they had a Sky Supreme on their side, Ning Yu had no choice but to beg him. He could take advantage of this opportunity to obtain the cultivation method for the Jia pill and not be under Ning Yu's control. With the Jia pill formula, I can find someone else to help me refine the pill and extend my lifespan by another 60 years. Thinking about how he would soon be able to obtain the pill formula for the Jia pill and extend his lifespan, Xie Zhe was a little excited. At the same time, a trace of energy appeared on Ning Yu's right fingertip. With a few swishes, he wrote down the pill formula for the Jia pill on the sheepskin scroll. However, Ning Yu only wrote down the first half of the pill formula. He did not write down the second half. Ning Yu is a person who could distinguish between good and evil. If others helped him, he would definitely repay them. If others wanted to cheat him, then he would smoothly cheat them back. Whoosh! With a flick of his wrist, Ningyu threw the sheepskin scroll to Xieze. Xieze hurriedly looked at the sheepskin scroll. Even Fairy Yinshi and the palace mistress couldn't help but look at the sheepskin scroll. Damn it! When the three of them saw the 3 large words on the sheepskin scroll, they cursed at the same time. The first half, the 3 large words were reflected in their eyes. Xieze and Fairy Yinshi's faces were ugly, especially Xieze, who was on the verge of exploding. What he wanted was the complete formula for the Jia Zidan, not the first half of it. What are you trying to say? Taking a deep breath, Xieze said in a solemn voice, I helped you out of goodwill. But not only did you not appreciate it, you even played me? I'm sorry I didn't play you. Ningyu shrugged and said, There are a few things that I need to make clear to you. He wasn't captured by Fairy Yinshi herself. If it wasn't for me, Grandmaster Xingyan and Mad Warrior, do you think you could have captured Tuahi alive? Even if you guys helped, it would only be a small matter. It wouldn't be of much use. Xiaze's face was red, but he still argued. Don't forget that there are still 2 heavenly sovereigns in the Tower of Ascension. Ningyu's brows raised as he looked at Xieze, and an evil smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. Even though I can't control them completely right now, I can make them explode at any time if I want to. Finishing his words, Ningyu walked towards the giant shield city without looking back. Ning, you only took a few steps before he stopped. What? Are you regretting it? If you're regretting it, you can. Seeing that Ningyu had stopped, Xiaze's face instantly lit up. Grandmaster Xingyan, what are you guys still standing there for? Hurry up and pack up. We'll leave in half an hour. Ning, you didn't care if Xieze was proud or not. His reproachful voice resounded. Di Lin is a middle phase heavenly sovereign. When he breaks through the giant shield city and slaughters everyone, he'll definitely come after us. We have to hurry up and find a place to hide. Russell. Hearing Ningyu's voice, Grandmaster Xingyan and the rest instantly understood and flew towards the giant shield city. Ningyu was right. Staying here would only mean death. If they couldn't find a heavenly sovereign to self-destruct to deal with Di Lin, then they would be no different from fools. What a disappointment. When the Goldfish King passed by Xieze, it did not forget to ridicule. Someone's lifespan is coming to an end. Instead of staying at home to eat and wait for death, he actually came out to mess around. How pitiful, how pitiful. You. Xieze's face was ashen, being ridiculed by a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign in front of so many people. He instantly felt embarrassed, and his body trembled from the anger. He initially wanted to teach a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign a lesson, but when he thought about how he only had 3 months left to live, the anger in his heart instantly dissipated. As the saying goes, a dying man's words are kind. Of course, this sentence was nonsense. Everyone knew that if Xieze heavily injured the Goldfish King, he would definitely have to exhaust his remaining 3 months of lifespan. Chapter 1562. Chapter 1562. Chapter 1562. The Transaction. Ningyu, I'm willing to give Tuahi to you. Xieze gritted his teeth when he saw that Ningyu was about to enter Giant Shield City, and then he said hastily, But you have to promise me that you'll give me the second half of the formula after you kill Di Lin. Ningyu stopped moving slightly when he heard this. He turned around and stared at Xieze with a spurious smile on his face, and then he said indifferently, I'm sorry, but I hate it when people negotiate with me. You're going too far. Xieze finally exploded when he heard Ningyu. Xieze's gaze was gloomy as he emanated his imposing aura, and it pressed down madly towards Ningyu as he said coldly, Don't forget that this is Giant Shield City. You must give the formula to me today. What are the two of you still standing there for? Quickly go over and surround Ningyu. Xie Zhe spoke furiously when he saw Fairy Yin Shi and the Flower Palace's master staring blankly. I'll let some people know who's in charge of Giant Shield City today. Swoosh, swoosh. As soon as Xie Zhe finished speaking, two figures flashed over madly and obstructed Ningyu's path. Fairy Yun Shi and the Flower Palace's master. They were exactly Fairy Yun Shi and the Flower Palace's master. Xie Zhe was an ancestor of the Flower Palace, so they had no other choice when facing Xie Zhe's orders. As for Taoist GMO, his expression was gloomy and indeterminate, and he didn't stop Ningyu at the first possible moment. Truthfully speaking, Taoist GMO really admired Ningyu. He'd chosen to stand with Giant Shield City when Giant Shield City was in danger, and Xie Zhe's actions clearly showed that he was trying to get rid of Giant Shield City when he was dead. Even though Taoist GMO was a member of the Flower Palace, he didn't want to be associated with a traitor like Xie Zhe. Swish, swish. He thought for a moment before he gritted his teeth and walked over to Ningyu's side, and then he stood by Ningyu's side. Taoist GMO's actions were very obvious. He wanted to help Ningyu get rid of his relationship with the Flower Palace. Ha ha ha! Taoist Master GMO, aren't you afraid that someone will take revenge on you by standing on the same side as me? Ningyu burst into laughter. Taoist GMO was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign, and he also had powerful trump cards. In a sense, when Taoist GMO went berserk, he could contend with ordinary heavenly sovereigns. It just so happened that Supreme Palace was short of manpower, so the addition of Master Devil was like a shot in the arm. Taoist Tian, saint, and has always been doing things. Since Emperor Zedong Shan, there was a hint of anger in Taoist Master Jimo's voice as he said coldly, "Since I've decided to join you, I won't be afraid of any difficulties." Good. From now on, you are the Hall Master of Supreme Palace's 5th Branch Hall. As for the name of the branch hall, you will be the one to name it. Since Taoist GMO had decided to join Ningyu naturally wouldn't let him suffer a loss. The position of Hall Master of Supreme Palace's 5th branch was already very high in Supreme Palace. The only thing lacking was that Ningyu could only promise Taoist GMO the position of Hall Master for the time being. There was nothing substantial in it. Thank you, Hall Master. Taoist GMO was overjoyed and hurriedly cupped his fists. The news of Ningyu establishing Supreme Palace had already spread in Giant Shield City. There were even some martial artists in Giant Shield City who had joined Supreme Palace. Taoist GMO had long wanted to join Supreme Palace, but it was inconvenient with Xie Zhe around. Now that he saw Xie Zhe's true colors, Taoist GMO instantly decided to join Supreme Palace. Taoist GMO originally wanted to start from the bottom, but who would have thought that Ningyu would promise him the position of Branch Hall Master, which made him overjoyed. Taoist GMO, I think you're tired of living. Now that things had come to this, Xie Zhe had nothing to worry about. In any case, he had already shed all pretense of cordiality with Ningyu. The two sides were about to fight for real. There was no point in worrying about this and that. Xie Zhe, don't think that I don't know that you want to spy on the Hall Master's pill recipe. I can tell you now that as long as I, Taoist GMO, am around, you can forget about hurting the Hall Master. Taoist GMO said coldly, not giving Xie Zhe any face. I'm so pissed. Xie Zhe was so angry that his nose was crooked and his body was trembling. What are you guys still standing there for? Hurry up and take down Ningyu. Xie Zhe roared. I'll see who dares. At this moment, Grandmaster Xingyan, the Golden Arowana King, and Bada all flew in front of Ningyu. Although Grandmaster Xingyan was only a grade 8 Earth Supreme, his soul force was the strongest here. With his soul force, Grandmaster Xingyan could contend with a peak grade 9 Earth Supreme. As for Bada and the Golden Arowana King, There was no need to even think about it. One was the king of the Golden Arowana Fish clan, and the other was the king of the Bloodthirsty Wolf clan. If the two of them joined forces, they might even have a chance to kill a Sky Supreme. You're simply courting death by doing this. Seeing the Golden Arowana King and the others standing in front of Ningyu, Xie Zhe calmed down to a frightening degree. Waving his hand, Xie Zhe gestured for Fairy Yun Shi and the palatial mistress to retreat. Swish! Swish! Fairy Yun Shi and the palatial mistress instantly retreated to Xie Zhe's side. As far as I'm concerned, that Paragon Palace you founded is nothing more than a fart. There are countless powers in the Pill Formation continent that could slaughter your Paragon Palace. You have no idea how terrifying the Pill Formation continent is. The corner of Xie Zhe's mouth rose. If you dare to kill Dilin today, I can guarantee that the Emperor Palace will send a peerless expert to kill you tomorrow. The grudge between me and the Emperor Palace has nothing to do with you. Ningyu curled his lips and said, If I don't want you here, there will be a place for me to stay. Let's meet again. Ning, you couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Xie Zhe. Soon, Dilin would break the ternary formation. His top priority now was to leave this place as soon as possible and find a new place to set up a killing formation. He had to think of a way to get rid of Dilin instead of talking nonsense with Xie Zhe. However, Xie Zhe didn't seem to want to let Ningyu go. He said lazily, There's actually no grudge between us. We can sit down and talk. The Sovereign Palace has just been established, so you will definitely need a large amount of yuan crystals, elixirs, and artifacts. The palatial mistress can provide you with those things. But the condition is that I have to tell you the elixir recipe, right? Ningyu obviously knew what Xie Zhe was up to. His mind was filled with elixir recipes. Every word he said was for the sake of the elixir recipe. Otherwise, Xie Zhe wouldn't have changed his attitude and become lazy and calm. Congratulations, you're right. Unfortunately, there's no prize. Xie Zhe smiled and said, You give me the elixir recipe and I give you the elixirs and artifacts. Is that right? That's right, but there's something I don't understand. I hope you can explain it to me, Ningyu said with a frown. Chapter 1563. Chapter 1563. Chapter 1563 Control You. Even if I give you the pill formula, and you use your connections to find someone to refine the pill and extend your lifespan by 60 years. But at this point, Ningyu paused for a moment before continuing. If you can extend your lifespan by 60 years, what about the poison in your body? This, Ningyu's words stunned Xie Zhe for a moment. How heart-wrenching. Ningyu was right. Even if he could obtain the Jiazi pill and extend his lifespan, he wouldn't be able to cure the goo poison in his body. As long as the goo poison remained in his body, his lifespan would continue to decrease. Not long after, his lifespan would be reduced to 3 months. Treating the symptoms, but not the root cause. Could it be that you can help me get rid of the poison in my body? Xie Zhe stared at Ningyu and said with uncertainty, But you said that you can't cure me of the goo poison for the time being. Old man, are you an idiot? At this moment, the Golden Arowana Fish King couldn't stand it anymore. He rolled his eyes and said, Temple Master said temporarily. Don't you know what temporarily means? Do you want me to explain to you? You, hearing the Golden Arowana King's words, Xie Zhe's body trembled with anger. No matter what, he was still a Peak Sky Supreme. Although his body was poisoned and he only had 3 months left to live, he could still exert great strength if he was seriously injured. This Golden Arowana Fish King wasn't even a heavenly supreme, yet it dared to act so arrogantly in front of him? He really doesn't want to live anymore. What you? If you know what's good for you, hurry up and apologize to the palace master. Otherwise, you'll flatten Giant Shield City. The Golden Arowana Fish King also had a bad temper. If others were good to him, he would naturally return the favor. If others didn't treat him well, he would pay them back double. Ningyu, I've said it before. There are no grudges between us. On the contrary, I have to thank you for resolving the crisis for Giant Shield City. Xie Zhe took a deep breath and said in a low voice, as long as you can help me expel the parasite poison from my body, I can agree to any of your conditions and swear an oath to the heavens. Oh, agree to any of my conditions? Hearing this, Ningyu raised his eyebrows, feeling a little shocked. If Xie Zhe, that old fox, simply said that he would agree to one of his conditions, he would definitely not believe it. But when Xie Zhe said something like swearing a heavenly Tao oath, it made Ningyu a little surprised. Generally speaking, the higher one's cultivation, the greater the binding force of the heavenly law oath. At his peak, Xie Zhe was a pinnacle sky supreme. If he really swore an oath to the heavens, Ningyu could choose to believe him. He was afraid that Xie Zhe would play tricks. Yes, I can promise you one thing, anything. Xie Zhe nodded. Ningyu did not answer Xie Zhe immediately. Instead, he fell into deep thought. After a while, Ningyu said, How about this? You surrender to me for 3 months. After 3 months, I will help you expel the goo poison in your body. Are you sure you want me to submit to you? Xie Zhe asked. What's there to be uncertain about? My time is limited. I hope you can make a decision as soon as possible. Ningyu shrugged and said, All right, 3 months it is. Taking a deep breath, Xie Zhe said, I will open my mind and let your soul force enter my consciousness to control me. Afterwards, Xie Zhe closed his eyes and retracted his aura, looking like he was at the mercy of others. Xie Zhe's actions not only made the Goldfish King and Grandmaster Xing Yun confused, but even Fairy Yin Shi and the Palace Master, Bai Hua, had no idea what he was planning. One must know that if Ningyu's soul force entered Xie Zhe's consciousness, then Xie Zhe's life would be in Ningyu's hands. Fairy Yin Shi and the Palace Master, Bai Hua, didn't think that such a stupid thing was possible. Xie Zhe definitely had a trump card. Palace Master, what should we do if the old ancestor and Ningyu get into a conflict later? Are we really going to start a war with Ningyu? Fairy Yin, she leaned slightly towards the palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace, and then she lowered her voice and said, No matter what, Ningyu has helped us so much. Wouldn't it be repaying kindness with enmity if we do this? Let's wait and see. The Palace Master Bai Hua said in a low voice. To be honest, the Palace Master Bai Hua didn't want to start a conflict with Ningyu. However, Xie Zhe was the old ancestor of the 100 Flowers Palace, so she couldn't disobey him. As for whether or not she would start a war with Ningyu, the Palace Master Bai Hua didn't think about it for now. Things would eventually sort themselves out. She'd just take it one step at a time. No problem. The only person who wasn't nervous was probably Ningyu. Ningyu moved his feet and arrived in front of Xie Zhe. He said indifferently, As long as you completely open your mind, I will immediately let my soul force enter your consciousness. Ha ha ha, heroes indeed come from the young. You even saw through this. Xie Zhe smiled awkwardly. He then sat cross-legged on the ground and completely opened his mind. How dare you try to deceive the Palace Master? The Goldfish King cursed when he saw Xie Zhe's actions. If it wasn't for Ningyu's sharp eyes, he would probably have been tricked by Xie Zhe. It's fine. You guys step back. I want to have a good chat with him. Ningyu waved his hand and signaled the Goldfish King and the rest to step back for now. As for Ningyu himself, he sat cross-legged in front of Xie Zhe and separated a wisp of soul force from his body into Xie Zhe's consciousness. Good timing. Looking at the soul force flying towards him, the corner of Xie Zhe's mouth unnaturally raised into a slight smile. However, Xie Zhe hid it very well. He quickly concealed the smile on his face. Swoosh! In almost an instant, Ningyu's soul force entered Xie Zhe's sea of consciousness. You want to control me? As soon as Ningyu's soul force entered Xie Zay's consciousness. Xie Zay revealed his true appearance. Whoosh! Overwhelming soul power surged from every part of Xie Zay's body and gathered in his sea of consciousness. Obviously, Ningyu's soul force was surrounded by Xie Zay's enormous soul force. You're cheating. Ningyu's expression changed drastically. He said coldly, I want to perish together with you. Perish together? Ha ha ha, don't be naive. Using this wisp of soul force, I only need half an hour to control you. Xie Zay raised his head and laughed maniacally. Don't worry. You will wake up in half an hour. Then, listen to my orders obediently. Aren't you afraid that I will self-destruct this wisp of soul force? Ningyu said indifferently. At this moment, Ningyu's earlier panic had already disappeared. In exchange, he calmed down. Ningyu's calm performance surprised Xie Zay a little. Seeing that he was about to be controlled by me, he could actually calm down? I call the shots in my consciousness. You'd better stop resisting. This way, I might give you a quick death and let you suffer less. Xie Zay said arrogantly. He did not put Ningyu's words in his eyes at all. I'll give you one last chance. Stop resisting and let me control your consciousness. Chapter 1564. Chapter 1564. Chapter 1564. An old friending, you felt that he was very kind. At the very least, Ningyu felt that he was very kind to Xie Zay. Actually, he'd seen through Xie Zay's crafty scheme a long time ago. Xie Zay wouldn't swear a heavenly Tao oath at all, nor would he completely open his mind. The reason why Xie Zay pretended to open his mind and let his soul force enter his body was because Xie Zay wanted to control himself. Of course, Ningyu was fearless. This was because Ningyu had already thought of a countermeasure to deal with Xie Zay. If they were outside, Ningyu wouldn't be able to contend against Xie Zay with his 9th grade human sovereign cultivation. But this was Xie Zay's sea of consciousness, and both sides were competing with soul force. In other words, it was a competition of foundation. You sure you don't have a fever? Hearing Ningyu's words, Xie Zay's jaw dropped as if he had seen a ghost. You want me to give up? Is your brain rusty? In that case, you don't want to submit to me? Ningyu didn't get angry. Instead, he said indifferently, Submit my ass. From the beginning to the end, I never intended to submit to you. Xie Zay said coldly, Looks like if I don't show you my power, you'll really think that I'm easy to bully. Voila! As his cold voice fell, Xie Zay's sea of consciousness turned berserk. Swish, 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 swish. Not long after, 4 flags suddenly appeared in Xie Zay's knowledge sea, firmly surrounding Ningyu's soul power in the middle. These 4 are soul-controlling flags. As long as you distribute your soul force evenly among them, you will listen to my commands and become my slave. Xie Zay pointed at the 4 flags and said gloomily, I gave you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Since it's like this, then don't blame me. AI. Ningyu sighed softly and said, Come out. Come out, will you? Xie Zay was stunned by Ningyu's words. Shio. In the next moment, a bewitching flame suddenly shot out from Ningyu's soul power. The speed of the flame was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it had rushed in front of a flag. Chi-chi. What happened next caused Xie Zay's expression to change drastically. As soon as the flag came into contact with the flames, it quickly ignited and gave off a sizzling sound. What the hell is going on? The scene before him caused Xie Zay's expression to change greatly. He even had the urge to curse. His trump card was the 4 flags. He wanted to rely on the 4 flags to control Ningyu's soul power. But now he didn't know what kind of terrifying flame Ningyu used to burn one of the flags. Stop, or I'll cripple your soul power. In a moment of desperation, Xie Zay controlled his soul power to fly towards Ningyu's soul power. Xie Zhe's goal was obvious. He wanted to control Ning Yu's soul force and force Ning Yu to retract his flames. However, Xie Zhe had obviously underestimated the power of the flames. Under Ning Yu's control, the flames turned around and rushed towards Xie Zhe's soul power. The result was obvious. How could Xie Zhe's soul power resist the burning of the flames? Very quickly, only a little bit was left. Stop! Seeing that the last bit of soul power was about to be burned, Xie Zhe hurriedly said. Xie Zhe already knew that he had met a tough opponent. He wanted to use the soul control flag to control Ning Yu's soul power. Who would have thought that he would be completely suppressed by Ning Yu? Moreover, the terrifying flames that Ning Yu had displayed not only burned one of the soul control flags, but also burned most of his soul power. You want me to stop? Ning Yu stared at Xie Zhe and said, I seem to have heard someone say that they want to use the soul control flag to control my soul power. Looks like I have to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. No. Let's talk. Xie Zhe hurriedly said. At this moment, Xie Zhe appeared to be extremely terrified. Xie Zhe was very clear that the flames that Ning Yu executed were too terrifying. Wanting to destroy his sea of consciousness would be as easy as blowing off dust. If his sea of consciousness was crippled, his entire life would be over. Give me a reason not to kill you. Ning Yu controlled the demonic lotus flames to return to him and said indifferently, There's only one chance. You have to grasp it well. As long as you don't kill me, I can swear a heavenly Tao oath and give the Flower Palace to you. You've just established Supreme Hall, so you definitely need magic treasures, medicinal pills, essence crystals, and even manpower. If you take over the Flower Palace, these problems will be easily solved. In his panic, Xie Zhe even gave away the Flower Palace. After sending him out, Xie Zhe was still not at ease and continued. Besides that, I'll go with you to the Thousand Leaf Empire's Jin clan and personally hold down the fort for you to prevent the rascals from becoming enemies with you. That's not a bad deal. Ning Yu's brows knit together slightly as he muttered. Truthfully speaking, the two conditions that Xie Zhe raised caused Ning Yu to be very tempted. The Flower Palace was a top-rate power on the Pill Creation continent and even the Sky Devil region. Even though it had experienced a great battle and caused the Flower Palace to suffer heavy losses, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. The Flower Palace's current strength could still be ranked in the top few in the Pill Creation continent. When he saw that Ning Yu was slightly tempted, Xie Zhe hurriedly added, I know a few old friends on the Pill Creation continent. I can invite them over to help you deal with the Jin clan when you attack the Thousand Leaf Empire's Jin clan. You have old friends? Ning Yu's brows raised, and his expression remained unchanged as he said, Who are they? Tell me about them. Xie Zhe knew that he had said the wrong thing, but he had to answer Ning Yu's question. After sorting out his thoughts, Xie Zhe explained, Most of the people I know are injured. Some are poisoned, some have their souls damaged, and some have their bodies destroyed. In short, they are in terrible states. They can only come over to support you, but they can't help you fight. It's fine. We can delay the matter of going to the Jin clan for now. Think of a way to get your old friends to come over to Giant Shield City. I want to meet them. Ning Yu wanted to meet Xie Zhe's old friends. Xie Zhe was a Peak Sky Supreme. One could imagine that his old friends were not inferior to him. From Xie Zhe's expression, Ning Yu could tell that Xie Zhe wasn't lying. It was fine to be poisoned, have one's soul damaged, and even have one's body destroyed. What Ning Yu needed was a guest elder. Supreme Hall had just been established, so they definitely needed some powerful cultivators to support them. Of course, the reason why Ning Yu asked them to come over was because he had a certain level of confidence that he could cure them. Otherwise, there would be no point in asking them to come over. Sure, hearing that Ning Yu wanted to meet his old friends, Xie Zhe's eyes flickered. He struggled internally for a while, then said, I'll contact them now. Try to convince them to come over. Right before you contact them, I need to control you. The time limit is 3 months. Ningyu waved his hand, then controlled the demonic lotus flame to burn the remaining 3 soul control flags. After burning the soul control flags, Ningyu directly left the demonic lotus flame in Xie Zhe's mind. Chapter 1565. Boom! Swish! After his soul power returned to his body, Ningyu opened his eyes and stood up. Swish! Seeing Ningyu open his eyes, Master Xingyan, the Golden Arowana King, and the others teleported to Ningyu's side. The Golden Arowana King hurriedly asked, How did it go? Did you negotiate with that old man? See for yourself. Ningyu pointed at Xie Zhe and said indifferently, Swish! Hearing this, the Golden Arowana King and the others shifted their gazes to Xie Zhe. What's going on? Has he lost his mind? Is it because he's old that his brain isn't working? Xie Zhe's actions caused the Golden Arowana King and Bada to reveal puzzled expressions. Xie Zhe moved towards the Trinity Formation and stared at Di Lin, who was within the formation. After staring at Di Lin for a full minute, Xie Zhe turned to Fairy Yunxi and said, Throw Tuahi into the Trinity Formation and use him to self-destruct to kill Di Lin. Fairy Yin, she was slightly taken aback by Xie Zhe's words. Although Fairy Yin, she also wanted to use Tuahi to self-destruct to kill Di Lin. She was still a little shocked to hear such words from Xie Zhe's mouth. After recovering from her shock, Fairy Yin, she asked uncertainly, Ancestor, are we really going to let Tuahi self-destruct? What are you talking about? Just do as I say. Don't ask so many questions, Xie Zhe said coldly. Xie Zhe's words caused Fairy Yin, she's body to tremble uncontrollably. The situation didn't seem right. Could it be that Xie Zhe was really being controlled by Ningyu? The more she thought about it, the more she felt that it was possible. After all, Ningyu appeared to be very calm, while Xie Zhe's reaction was very strange and even a little angry. However, it wasn't convenient for Fairy Yunxi to ask about such things. She could only flick her wrist and throw Tuahi out of the jade bracelet. Bang! She waved her hands repeatedly and whipped Tuahi's back, sending him into the Trinity Formation. Patriarch, should we return to Giant Shield City first? Fairy Yin, she wasn't stupid enough to activate Tuahi's spiritual force. She knew how powerful a Heavenly Supreme's self-destruction was. It could be said that if they chose to stay, there was an 80% chance that they would die here. Go! Xie Zhe's figure flashed, and he flew toward Giant Shield City immediately. Voila! Behind Xie Zhe, Fairy Yunxi, Palace Mistress Baihua, and even Grandmaster Xingyan and Ningyu were rushing towards Giant Shield City. None of the martial artists in this area were fools. The self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign wasn't something that they could endure. What do you want to do? I'm a peerless expert of the Emperor Palace. If you kill me, you'll definitely offend the Emperor Palace. If you offend the Emperor Palace, you'll all die. Seeing Ningyu's party charging towards the Giant Shield City and throwing a heavenly sovereign into the ternary array, how could Di Lin not guess what Ningyu's party was trying to do? It wasn't in Di Lin's character to sit and wait for death. He raised his head and yelled, "Let me go now, and I'll let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, how dare you be so stubborn even when you're about to die? You're really courting death." Before Di Lin could finish his words, Ningyu's cold snort resounded from the Giant Shield City. "If I dare to kill you today, I'll kill my way to the Emperor Palace tomorrow and flatten the Emperor Palace." You. Di Lin stuttered when he heard Ning use arrogant words. "What about you? You're even stuttering. You're hopeless." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said to Fairy Yunxi, "It's about time." If we don't act now, Lin might break the ternary array. Fairy Yin, she did not listen to Ningyu's words. Instead, she shifted her gaze toward Xie, wanting to seek his opinion. Ningyu's words are my words. Xie didn't say much, but his meaning was clear. All right. Fairy Yin, she gritted her teeth and activated the soul power in Tuahi's body. Rumble. With a loud sound, Tuahi, who was in the ternary array, suddenly exploded. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After Tuahi self-detonated, an extremely terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions with the ternary formation as the center. Crack, crack. The ground caved in and a huge pit appeared. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The surrounding void cracked open, and the space became extremely unstable. Swoosh. As Ningyu and the rest watched in shock, a powerful shock wave rushed toward the top of the giant shield city. Fortunately, before the shock wave reached the top of the giant shield city, the ultimate killing array showed its power. This terrifying shockwave was reflected back by the supreme killing array. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After the first shockwave was blocked by the peerless killing array, dozens of other shockwaves appeared, all rushing towards Ningyu and the others above the city gate tower. What's going on? This change was clearly out of Ningyu and the rest's expectations. Although Tuahi's self-destruction was powerful, it shouldn't have been directed in the same direction. There was clearly something fishy going on. It's Lin. Ningyu's eyes were very sharp. He quickly discovered the figure hidden in the spatial vortex. Although he was at the center of Tuahi's self-destruction, Lin was a mid-sky supreme expert. He couldn't have been killed so easily. Since he hadn't died, Lin would definitely take revenge. Therefore, he tried his best to control the shock wave from Tuahi's self-destruction and directed it toward Ningyu and Xie. Ha ha ha! Even if I die, I'll drag a few of you down with me. Lin's body gradually appeared from the void, and he threw his head back and laughed wildly. Luo's clothes were tattered, and only a few strands of his hair were left. Moreover, there were 3 ghastly wounds on Lin's forehead. One could even see his bones. Blood flowed from the ghastly wounds, indicating that Lin had suffered an irreparable injury. Lin, you old fool, do you think you can hurt us? Xie's eyes widened as he glared at Lin and said coldly, Today I'll burn your bones and scatter your ashes. Xie was furious. He had just been controlled by Ningyu, and now he was being threatened by Lin. He couldn't take it anymore. Since he couldn't take it anymore, he couldn't vent his anger on Ningyu, so he could only vent his anger on Lin. Attack until Lin can't speak anymore. Xie was the Flower Palace's old ancestor after all. Fairy Yun Shi and the palace master naturally couldn't ignore his anger. Whoosh! The two of them flew in 2 different directions and only stopped when they were a dozen meters away from Xie. Then, they all unleashed their trump cards in unison. They bypassed the peerless killing array and launched terrifying attacks at Lin. Crack! Under the bombardment of the huge shock wave, the peerless killing array in front of Ningyu and the others actually shook a little, emitting a crisp cracking sound. This situation shocked the Golden Arowana King and the others. Ningyu, this ultimate killing array, won't be destroyed, right? Chapter 1566. Kill. If the peerless killing formation could be destroyed so easily, we would have been killed by the demon spirit realm long ago. How could we have survived until now? Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that the Goldfish King didn't need to worry. In fact, Ningyu was right. If the self-destruction of a mere heavenly supreme could destroy the peerless killing formation, then the demon spirit realm mid-stage heavenly supreme would definitely capture a few heavenly supremes, and have them self-destruct to destroy the peerless killing formation. Furthermore, the shockwave from Tu'ahi's self-destruction landed on Di-Lin. Just the remaining shockwave alone couldn't pose a threat to the peerless killing formation. That's good. When the shockwave dissipates, I'll go and capture him myself. The Goldfish King nodded, then said viciously, he actually dared to threaten us. I think he must be tired of living. Rumble. Before the Golden Arowana Fish King could finish his sentence, a huge shockwave surged towards him. The powerful shockwave forced the Goldfish King back several steps. Fortunately, the peerless killing formation had formed a barrier that blocked the shockwave. Otherwise, the Goldfish King would have been severely injured. Didn't you say that the self-destruction of a heavenly supreme couldn't destroy the peerless killing formation? If I hadn't reacted in time, I would have been heavily injured. The sudden change made the Goldfish King's expression turn ugly. He had been pushed back by the shockwave because he had been careless. If he had been prepared, he wouldn't have been affected no matter how powerful the shockwave was. Isn't the peerless killing formation still intact? Ning Yu spread his hands. You go over there and attack Di-Lin with Fairy Yunxi and the others. Remember, don't let Di-Lin self-destruct. Although the self-destruction of an initial stage, Heavenly Supreme, couldn't destroy the peerless killing formation, the self-destruction of a mid-stage, Heavenly Supreme, had a high chance of destroying the peerless killing formation. Even a cornered dog would jump over a wall. Di-Lin was even more anxious than a dog. If Di-Lin felt that there was no hope of survival, he would definitely self-destruct to destroy the peerless killing formation. Understood. The Golden Arowana Fish King nodded and flew towards Fairy Yunxi. Although the Golden Arowana Fish King's words were lacking, it wouldn't do anything out of line when it came to matters of right and wrong. He had taken it as Ningyu's order to stop Di-Lin from self-destructing. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seeing the Golden Arowana Fish King's actions, Bada, Grandmaster Xingyun, and Master Demon did not stand idly by. They all dashed forward and unleashed powerful techniques to attack Di-Lin. Pucci! As the crowd attacked, Di-Lin instantly felt a terrifying pressure. Spurting out a large mouthful of blood, Di-Lin's face turned extremely cold and gloomy. Good, very good. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. The next moment, Di-Lin's body swelled up. Ka-ka! As Di-Lin's body became bigger, crisp cracking sounds rang out. It was obvious that these sounds were the sounds of Di-Lin's bones shattering. Self-destruct. At that moment, Di-Lin made a bold decision. I want all of you to die with me. Knowing that he had no hope of survival, Di-Lin's face turned hideous. It's worth it to use my body to break the supreme killing formation and injure all of you. Stop him. Ningyu's expression changed drastically when he saw Di-Lin's actions, and he said hurriedly, although the supreme killing formation was terrifying, it had just gone through a huge battle and could not withstand the self-destruction of a mid-stage Sky Supreme expert. Once Di-Lin self-destructed, there was a high chance that the supreme killing formation would be destroyed. Rumble. Even without Ningyu's reminder, the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others had already unleashed their trump cards. The Golden Arowana Fish King, Fairy Yunxi, Palace Master Bai Hua, Bada, Grandmaster Xingyun, and Master Demon. They did not hold back at all. All kinds of techniques flew towards Di-Lin. The current situation was very clear. The only way to stop Di-Lin's self-destruction was to kill him before he self-destructed. It was easy to imagine how difficult it would be to kill Di-Lin with a spell from such a long distance. We have to leave Giant Shield City to kill Di-Lin. On the city gate tower, Ningyu saw everything clearly. If they did not leave Giant Shield City, they only had a 1% chance of killing Di-Lin before he self-destructed. If they left Giant Shield City, they would have at least a 50% chance of killing Di-Lin. But who to send out was a big problem, because the cultivators who went out also had only a 50% chance of surviving. I'll go. Ning Yu was not the only one who could see through it. In the distance, Fairy Yun Shi's expression turned grave. Lend me the 100 Flowers fan. I'll go out and kill Lin. Since the 100 Flowers fan had already been given to Ningyu, Fairy Yun Shi would have to borrow it from Ningyu if she needed it. Be careful. Ningyu thought for a few seconds, then flicked his wrist and threw the 100 Flowers fan to Fairy Yun Shi. Pa! Catching the 100 Flowers fan, Fairy Yun Shi waved her hands and shouted, Open! Chi-chi! A crisp sound rang out. Then the space in front of Fairy Yun Shi split open and Fairy Yun Shi dove in. Fairy Yun Shi did not immediately break open the killing formation and leave. This was because she knew that once she did so, Lin would definitely take advantage of this rare opportunity. At that time, the consequences would be unthinkable. That was why Fairy Yun Shi first broke through the void, breaking through the peerless killing formation and leaving. Doing so would allow her to avoid Lin. Whoosh! 3 seconds later. Fairy Yun Shi appeared outside Giant Shield City. Die. After leaving Giant Shield City, Fairy Yun Shi did not dare to be careless. She waved the 100 Flowers fan in her hand, and several beams of cold light shot out. Swish! 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 These beams of cold light were very fast. In almost an instant, they arrived in front of Lin. Under Lin's horrified gaze, they were aimed at his head. These beams of cold light had all been shot out from the 100 Flowers fan and were extremely powerful. If Lin was unlucky enough to be hit, he would most likely die on the spot. Swish! Unfortunately, Lin was lucky. Before the cold light could hit his head, he had already given up on attacking the killing formation. Instead, he used the aftermath of Tuahi's self-destruction to block in front of him. Bang! The cold light and the aftermath collided and both disappeared. As for Lin, he fled in 2 different directions. Trying to leave? Not so easy. Seeing that Lin wanted to leave, Fairy Yun Shi's figure flashed, and with a few leaps, she blocked Lin's path of retreat. Whoosh! The 100 Flowers fan in her hand suddenly opened, and Fairy Yun Shi controlled it to quickly sweep towards Lin's neck. In the next instant, a pillar of blood burst out of Lin's neck, and he spat out blood. Chapter 1567. A New Crisis Huff. Seeing Lin being killed by Fairy Yun Shi, all the cultivators on the city wall let out a long sigh of relief. To be honest, Lin's previous actions had truly frightened them. Lin was a mid-heavenly supreme expert. Once he self-destructed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ningyu, Lin, and Gang are both peerless experts of the Emperor Palace. The news of their deaths should reach the Emperor Palace soon. In my opinion, we shouldn't stay here for long. We should leave this place as soon as possible and head to the Flower Palace to lie low. Xie Zhe turned around and looked at Ningyu. Although the Giant Shield City has the peerless slaughtering array, it's rumored that there are late-phase heavenly sovereigns in the divine Emperor Palace. The peerless slaughtering array shouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of a late-phase heavenly sovereign. If we go to the Flower Palace now, what will happen to the Giant Shield City when the experts of the Emperor Palace come? Ningyu stared at Xie Zhe and said, The Giant Shield City is only a subsidiary of the Flower Palace, Xie Zhe said without any hesitation when he heard Ningyu's words. However, when Xie Zhe saw Ningyu's face gradually turning dark, he immediately changed his words and said, The Emperor Palace's main target is us. They won't waste any effort to break the supreme killing formation. We'll stay in the Giant Shield City and not go anywhere. Ningyu waved his hand and faintly said, We'll deal with it when it comes. The Emperor Palace also has enemies in the Pellet Formation continent, so it's impossible for them to send their strongest expert over. At most, they can only send a few heavenly sovereigns over. With the Supreme Killing Formation, it doesn't matter how many people from the Emperor Palace come. In the Pill Formation continent, and even in the Sky Demon territory, the Emperor Palace was a sect that everyone hated. The Emperor Palace, the Blood God Palace, and the Corpse Sect were the three most notorious forces in the Sky Demon territory. It's better to be safe than sorry. I only have 3 months to live. If a late Heavenly Supreme comes, we'll all die. Xie Zhe was still worried that a late-stage Heavenly Supreme would come. If a late-stage Heavenly Supreme appeared, unless he burned the last 3 months of his lifespan, no one in the giant shield city could contend with a late-stage Heavenly Supreme. You don't have to worry about that. I'll give you a list of medicinal ingredients later. Grab a few portions of medicinal ingredients according to the list. I'll brew a medicinal liquid for you, temporarily to extend your lifespan by a few months. Ning Yu's tone was flat, as if he was talking about something unimportant. The speaker didn't mean anything, but the listener was listening attentively. Xie Zhe's eyes widened in disbelief. Ning Yu could actually brew a life-prolonging potion. This matter drove Xie Zhe crazy. Xie Zhe only had 3 months left to live. After 3 months, he would die, and even the gods wouldn't be able to save him. Ning Yu's words gave him the feeling that there was a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. I'll give you half an hour to deal with the situation here. Come to the city, Lord's Mansion's meeting hall to find me in half an hour. Since Di Lin had been dealt with, there was no reason for Ning Yu to stay. He gave a signal to the law of space beside him and walked towards the city, Lord's Mansion. Russell! Russell! The law of space knew that Ning Yu must have something to talk to him about, so he followed behind Ning Yu and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Who is Ning Yu? Could he be a genius, descendant of some great family? Xie Zhe's brows revealed an extremely grave expression as he watched Ning Yu leave. In Xie Zhe's view, the fact that Ning Yu could establish the Sovereign Palace with a 9th-grade human sovereign cultivation and control pinnacle 9th-grade Earth sovereigns like the Golden Arowana Fish King and Bada meant that Ning Yu must have a deep background. Otherwise, Xie Zhe wouldn't believe that Ning Yu could achieve all of this even if he was beaten to death. Naturally, Xie Zhe wasn't concerned about Ning Yu's background. Xie Zhe was only concerned about a single thing, and that was whether Ning Yu could refine an elixir that could extend one's lifespan. As for other matters, Xie Zhe didn't want to be concerned, nor could he be. Fairy Yun, Shi, Palace Master 100 Flowers. The two of you are responsible for cleaning up the battlefield. I'll be back soon. Xie Zhe glanced at the medicinal ingredients on the list, and then he hurriedly instructed Fairy Yun Shi and the 100 Flower Palace's mistress. After that, his figure flashed and flew towards the 100 Flower Palace. Although Xie Zhe wasn't an alchemist, he had some understanding of the herbs on the list. There were a few precious herbs on the list that Ning Yu had given him. They were so precious that they couldn't be found in the giant shield city and could only be found in the 100 Flowers Palace. That was why Xie Zhe was flying towards the Flower Palace without stopping. This, Fairy Yun Shi and the Palace Master 100 Flowers looked at each other as they watched Xie Zhe's departing figure. They could see the disbelief in each other's eyes. Xie Zhe's actions didn't seem to make sense. Could it be that Xie Zhe was already under Ning Yu's control? Fairy Yun Shi and the Palace Master 100 Flowers' hearts skipped a beat when they thought of this. If Xie Zhe was really under Ning Yu's control, then wouldn't the entire 100 Flowers Palace become Ning Yu's property? The more they thought about it, the more Fairy Yun Shi and the Palace Master 100 Flowers felt that it was possible. What should we do now? Fairy Yin, she took a deep breath and said to the Palace Master 100 Flowers, "The patriarch seems to be a little abnormal." I'll handle the battlefield here. Find a way to contact Yunmu and the Talisman Supremacy, and ask them to use a secret technique to contact the Old Prophet. We must get the Old Prophet to make a trip to the giant shield city within 3 days, the Palace Master 100 Flowers said with a solemn expression. No problem. Fairy Yin, she nodded her head. Get someone to clean up the outside and send a few high-rank Earth sovereigns out to patrol. If there's any commotion, immediately inform me. After leaving those words behind, the Palace Master 100 Flowers tore through space and entered. The Palace Master 100 Flowers flew in the same direction as Xiaze, towards the 100 Flowers Palace. At the same time, in the conference hall of the city, Lord's Mansion, the Law of Space, had told Ningyu everything he knew about the Emperor Palace. After listening to the Law of Space, Ningyu's gaze flickered as he paced back and forth in the conference hall. From the Law of Space, Ningyu understood that the Emperor Palace wasn't as simple as it looked on the surface. Most importantly, the Palace Master of the Emperor Palace, who framed Ningyu's parents, didn't seem to be in the Emperor Palace, but had gone to a hidden location to cultivate. There were rumors in the Emperor Palace that if the Palace Master of the Emperor Palace came out of that place, his cultivation would break through to the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm or even the quasi-saint realm. This discovery made Ningyu feel a great sense of danger. At this moment, Ningyu knew that his cultivation at the 9th grade mortal sovereign realm was far from enough, not to mention seeking revenge from the Palace Master of the Emperor Palace. He couldn't even find the 9 cultivators that besieged him in his previous life. Chapter 1568. Chapter 1568. Chapter 1568. A long wait. I have to raise my cultivation to the Earth Supreme Realm as soon as possible. With a grave expression, Ningyu decided to raise his cultivation to the Earth Sovereign Realm before attacking the Jin family of the Qinye Empire. Although the cultivation of a 9th grade human sovereign wasn't considered low among the younger generations, it could even be considered high. However, the enemies he was about to face were all incomparably powerful, not to mention a 9th grade human sovereign. Even if his cultivation was raised to a 9th grade Earth sovereign, he wouldn't be that powerful. Any other discoveries? Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said to the Law of Space, I want to know everything about the Emperor Divine Palace. Hearing Ningyu's words, the Law of Space briefly pondered before saying, There's a secret stronghold of the Emperor Palace near the Flower Palace. It said that the Emperor Palace would send a 9th grade Earth sovereign there every once in a while. Secret stronghold? Do they have to send 9th grade Earth sovereigns there every once in a while? Ningyu frowned. He had a feeling that things were not as simple as they seemed. The area around the Flower Palace was the territory of the Flower Palace, so it was definitely extraordinary for the Emperor Palace to take the risk of being discovered and establish a secret base here. Perhaps there was some unspeakable secret in it. That's right. That stronghold seems to be in the Moling Mountains. The Law of Space nodded. I heard this news from a 9th grade Earth sovereign by chance. At that time, that 9th grade Earth sovereign was talking to another cultivator, so I used a spatial secret technique to eavesdrop on their conversation. Moling Mountain Range. Upon hearing this, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. From Grandmaster Zhao, Ningyu learned some information about the Moling Mountain Range. A Devil Spirit Realm expert was imprisoned in the depths of the Moling Mountain Range. Back then, Grandmaster Zhao was forced by the square-faced and square-faced martial artists to go to the Moling Mountain Range. They wanted him to break the array formation in the depths of the Moling Mountain Range and rescue the Devil Spirit Realm powerhouse. Who would have thought that they would run into the Moling Mountain Range's own demonic beasts, the single-horned demonic beast and the barbed demonic beast? Otherwise, the Devil Spirit Realm expert, trapped in the depths of the Moling Mountain Range, would have already been rescued. The Moling mountain range is not an easy place to go. Ningyu was not a hothead. Even though he had built the Supreme Hall and there were many experts inside, he was still unable to move. However, relying on these experts, they probably wouldn't even be able to enter the depths of the Moling mountain range. The single-horned demonic beast and barb-hooked demonic beast were not easy to deal with. If they were to be angered this time, they would definitely have to bear the consequences. We have to think about it at length. Ningyu decided to wait for Xieze to return first. If he could brew a medicinal liquid that could extend Xieze's lifespan, he could bring Xieze along with him to the Moling mountain range. By the way, I seem to have heard that the stronghold of the Emperor Divine Palace in the Moling Mountains is a primordial crystal mine, and it's a sacred grade primordial crystal mine. The law of space continued after thinking for a while. I can't believe it. Ningyu's eyes widened at the mention of spatial laws, and he cursed. Saint grade origin crystal mine. One had to know that in the Sky Demon territory, there were not many forces that could take out Emperor grade origin crystals. And Saint grade origin crystals surpassed Emperor grade origin crystals. According to Ningyu's speculation, even top forces like the Emperor Divine Palace and the Hundred Flowers Palace might not be able to take out many Saint grade origin crystals. Riches come with risks. I have to make a trip to the Moling mountain range. Ningyu's expression became extremely solemn, extremely solemn. He urgently needed to break through to the Earth's supreme realm, and Saint grade origin crystals were the best tonic. The Shenyang pills produced by that scoundrel tree sapling had already been produced and sold by itself, and you couldn't even touch a strand of it. If he could obtain Saint grade origin crystals, not only could he advance to the Earth's supreme realm, but he could also damage the foundation of the Emperor Divine Palace. It could be said that using the Saint grade origin crystal mine in the Moling mountain range, the Emperor Divine Palace was very likely to become the most powerful sect in the Pill Formation mainland, or even the Sky Demon territory. Therefore, it was his duty to destroy the Saint grade origin crystal mine. You can leave first. I'll look for you when I need you. Ningyu waved his hand and gestured for Space Law to take a rest first. The matter of going to the Moling mountain range couldn't be rushed. Haste makes waste. He had to wait for Xieze to come back and brew the life-prolonging medicine. Otherwise, he would only be cannon fodder in the Moling mountain range. He would probably be killed before he could even reach the depths of the Moling mountain range. Buzz. Space Law didn't talk nonsense with Ningyu. His figure flickered, and he directly tore the void and disappeared. Space Law's current identity was Di Lingtian of the Emperor Divine Palace, so it wasn't suitable for him to stay in the giant shield city. According to Di Lingtian's memory, Space Law quietly left the giant shield city. He wanted to contact the surrounding warriors of the Emperor Divine Palace in advance and find out how many experts the Emperor Divine Palace had in the Moling mountain range. Of course, Space Law himself was only at the 5th grade Earth Supreme Realm, so the people he found would definitely be below the 5th grade Earth Supreme Realm. It would be easier to control warriors weaker than him, right? Space Law understood this principle. Swish! After Space Law left, Ningyu placed his hands flat in front of his chest, and the 8th level of the spiritual transformation art circulated rapidly. At the same time, Ningyu took out an Emperor-grade Yuan crystal and began to cultivate. Crack! The 8th level of the spiritual transformation art absorbed Yuan Qi at an extremely fast speed. A moment later, the Emperor-grade Yuan crystal was completely absorbed by Ningyu. Ningyu's sea of consciousness also loosened a little, although it hadn't been long since Ningyu's cultivation rose to the 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm. But during this period of time, Ningyu had experienced many battles and had already completely stabilized his cultivation. Now, it was only a matter of time before he broke through to the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm. Crack, crack, crack. After consuming several Emperor-grade Yuan crystals, a muffled sound came from Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Boom! Along with this muffled sound, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes, and a surge of aura soared into the sky. Ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm. Sensing the changes in his sea of consciousness, Ningyu frowned slightly, not particularly satisfied. Reaching the ninth grade Intermediate Human Supreme Realm only increased his cultivation by a little bit. And according to Ningyu's observation, with his current state, he could definitely break through to the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm, or even the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm. Devour! Ningyu was not an indecisive person, and he would do it immediately. He took out a few more Emperor-grade Yuan crystals and began to use the spiritual transformation art to devour them. Crack! Crack! As time passed, the Emperor-grade Yuan crystals were continuously devoured. About half an hour later, boom! Another muffled sound rang out. Ningyu's cultivation advanced from the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm to the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm. Still not enough. Ningyu shook his head, took out a few more Emperor-grade Yuan crystals, and began to cultivate. Boom! An hour later, when the third muffled sound rang out from Ningyu's sea of consciousness, Ningyu's cultivation successfully advanced from the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm to the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm. Whoosh! After advancing to the ninth grade Earth Supreme Realm, Ningyu did not continue to cultivate. The reason why Ningyu stopped cultivating was because it was unrealistic for him to advance to the Earth Supreme Realm in a short period of time. Chapter 1569. Chapter 1569. Saint Grade Crystal Mine Come In. After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu spoke to the people outside the conference hall. Creak! Xie Zhe had been waiting outside the conference hall. After hearing Ningyu's words, Xie Zhe gently pushed open the door and walked in. Peak Grade 9 Human Supreme. As soon as he walked into the conference hall, Xie Zhe's heart skipped a beat. He clearly remembered that when he left Giant Shield City, Ningyu was only an early stage Grade 9 Human Supreme. How long had it been? And Ningyu had already advanced to a peak Grade 9 Human Supreme. To advance from an early stage Grade 9 Human Supreme to a peak Grade 9 Human Supreme in just a few hours. Even the peerless geniuses of some super forces might not be able to do that. How did Ningyu do it? Xie Zhe's shock was beyond words. Even his eyes were wide open, and his face was filled with disbelief. You, Xie Zhe stretched out his right hand and pointed at Ningyu. Have you found the herbs I asked you to find? How could Ningyu not know what Xie Zhe was thinking? However, Ningyu knew what he had to do now. It was not to explain to Xie Zhe how he could advance to a peak Grade 9 Human Supreme, but to help Xie Zhe brew the medicinal liquid as soon as possible so that he could live for a few more months. Only then could he go deep into the Moling Mountains and find the Saint Grade crystal mine in Divine Emperor Palace. I found it. I found a total of 3 sets of herbs. Since Ningyu did not say, Xie Zhe did not ask further. He took out a storage bag and threw it to Ningyu. Pa! After catching the storage bag, Ningyu released his perception and probed the medicinal ingredients inside. He said, 3 portions of medicinal ingredients. I can brew 3 portions of medicinal liquid. Each portion of medicinal liquid can extend your lifespan by 1 month. 3 portions of medicinal liquid can extend your lifespan by 3 months. What? Xie Zhe was completely dumbfounded. He even had the urge to curse. A portion of the liquid could extend one's lifespan by a month. If he had known earlier, he would have definitely thought of all sorts of ways to get the members of the Flower Palace to move out in full strength to help him find medicinal ingredients. If he could find 70 to 80 sets of medicinal herbs, wouldn't it mean that he could extend his lifespan by 6 to 7 years? Thinking of this, Xieze was very annoyed. Extending your lifespan by 3 months is already the limit. Ning Yu rolled his eyes. Then he took out the cauldron of nothingness and threw it into the air. The nihility pill furnace was enough to decoct the medicinal liquid. There was no need for the heavenly fire pill furnace. After Ning Yu threw the incorporeal cauldron into the air, he poured out a portion of medicinal ingredients from his storage pouch and threw them into the cauldron. Xieze, use your essence to turn into flames and burn the bottom of the nothingness pill furnace. I won't let you stop, so you can't. Ning Yu pointed at the nihility pill furnace and said, when the medicinal liquid is almost finished, I will tell you. Understood. Although he was very puzzled, Xieze did not dare to disobey Ning Yu. Putting aside the fact that Ning Yu was controlling him, Ning Yu could help him extend his lifespan, so he had to listen to Ning Yu. Chi. In the next moment, Xieze's essence surged out and began to frantically burn the bottom of the nihility pill furnace. Due to the goo poison in Xieze's body, when he circulated his essence, his remaining 3 months of lifespan was also slowly decreasing. Fortunately, Xieze was not fighting an enemy. He was only using essence to burn the bottom of the nihility pill furnace. Otherwise, his lifespan would definitely decrease rapidly. While Xieze was using all his strength to burn the bottom of the nihility pill furnace, Ning Yu was not idle. Ning Yu took out the red demon sword. With a thought, he separated a portion of his soul force and slowly inserted it into the red demon sword. The red demon sword had said that there was an array in the depths of the red demon sword, and in front of the array was a stone tablet. On the stone tablet, the words pill obliteration were carved. The red demon sword had taken Xie away to drip his blood on the stone tablet to prevent the array from being broken. In any case, it would still take some time to brew the medicinal liquid. Ning Yu simply entered the red demon sword to check on the red demon sword's current condition. It's indeed a little different from before. As soon as he entered the red demon sword, Ning Yu noticed the changes in the red demon sword. Although the original red demon sword was of a very high level, even reaching the pinnacle of the monarch level, it still lacked a certain aura. The current red demon sword gave Ning Yu a very special feeling. This feeling was like the red demon sword was advancing towards the emperor level. An emperor level flying sword was a flying sword that only pinnacle sky supremes or half sages could control. Even if an ordinary martial artist was lucky enough to obtain an emperor level flying sword, they would not be able to use it. Ning Yu's soul power wandered around the red demon sword, trying to find the array and stone tablet that the red demon sword had mentioned. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Ning Yu searched, he could not find the array. Moreover, his soul power was also trapped in a pitch-black area. Looking at the pitch-black surroundings, Ning Yu frowned slightly and murmured, "Could something have happened to the red demon sword?" At this thought, Ning Yu's expression became extremely solemn. The red demon sword was still within the red demon sword. If something happened to the red demon sword would definitely suffer. Don't worry, the red demon sword is fine. It's advancing towards the emperor level. At this moment, the surrounding darkness suddenly disappeared. The red demon sword slowly appeared in front of Ning Yu. Seeing the red demon walking towards him, Ning Yu's face lit up with joy. He hurriedly asked, "What's going on?" "I've set up a layer of defense within the red demon sword to prevent any rascals from spying on it," explained the red demon sword. "Right. I heard from you that the red demon sword is advancing towards the emperor level. How long will it take before it can advance to the emperor level?" Ning Yu's heart jolted, and he hurriedly asked. Since the red demon sword was fine, then Ning Yu's focus was naturally on when the red demon sword would advance to the emperor level. There was an intrinsic difference between an emperor-level and an emperor-level flying sword. Although Ning Yu could not fully control the emperor-level flying sword, Ning Yu had the red demon sword as a sword spirit. With the red demon sword's help, Ning Yu did not need to raise his cultivation to the pinnacle sky supreme realm to be able to control the red demon sword. This was his advantage. However, the red demon sword's next words made Ning Yu feel like vomiting blood. The red demon sword stretched out a finger and said, 100 years. According to the current situation, the red demon sword should be able to advance to the emperor level in 100 years. Furthermore, the red demon sword paused for a moment, then turned around and pointed to the array in the distance. The one trapped in that formation is indeed a peerless powerhouse of the Pill Puppet Clan. The reason why the red demon sword was able to advance to the emperor level after 100 years is because it is slowly devouring the energy of the Pill Puppet in the formation. Ning Yu's face darkened when he heard the red demon sword's words. He was originally in high spirits, thinking that the red demon sword could advance to the emperor level and that his fighting strength would have a qualitative leap. Who would have thought that it would take 100 years? 100 years would probably be too late. Is there any way to make the red demon sword advance to the emperor level faster? Asked Ning Yu after taking a deep breath. Chapter 1570. Spirituality, Sacred Grade Origin Crystals? Ning Yu was slightly taken aback at first, before he said in a deep voice, "If I provide you with a large number of Sacred Grade Origin Crystals, how long will it take for the red demon sword to advance to the Emperor Grade?" "If I have enough Sacred Grade Origin Crystals, I only need a few hours to advance the red demon sword to the Emperor Grade." The red demon's expression was solemn, and his words revealed great confidence. The red demon sword was very familiar with the situation of the red demon sword. The red demon sword could satisfy all conditions except for sacred grade origin crystals. A large number of sacred grade origin crystals. With enough sacred grade origin crystals, advancing it to the emperor grade in a few hours would not be difficult. Get ready first. I will find a way to find sacred grade origin crystals for you. The red demon's confidence rekindled Ning Yu's hope. Whether it was to destroy the Emperor Divine Palace's stronghold in the Moling Mountain Range, or to obtain a large number of sacred grade origin crystals, Ning Yu would not shirk from this trip to the Moling Mountain Range. Bang! At this moment, the elixir cauldron emitted muffled bangs from Xie Zhe's powerful Yuan Qi flames. Swoosh! Ning Yu was not an indecisive person. His soul power surged, and he directly withdrew from the red demon sword. Continue to increase the intensity of the Yuan Qi flames. I must burn all the medicinal herbs into liquid within 3 minutes. After coming out, Ning Yu's perception entered the elixir cauldron slightly, and then he said in a deep voice, "In these 3 minutes, I will do everything possible to brew the medicinal liquid for you. As for whether or not it will succeed, it will all depend on the temperature inside the elixir cauldron." Boom! Ning Yu's words exploded in Xie Zhe's mind. The key to successfully brewing the medicinal liquid turned out to be the temperature inside the elixir cauldron. However, Xie Zhe was indeed the patriarch of the 100 Flowers Palace. He had been through many battles and quickly reacted. The Yuan Qi in his body poured out, and Xie Zhe used his Yuan Qi to burn the bottom of the elixir cauldron without holding back. Qi. As time passed, the temperature inside the elixir cauldron rose at a terrifying speed. After his perception entered the elixir cauldron, Ning Yu sent a few strands of his soul power into the elixir cauldron. Perception and soul power. Ning Yu used the brewing method he learned from the reincarnation pill Dao to carefully brew the medicinal liquid. Bang! 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 While Ning Yu was brewing the medicinal liquid, muffled banging sounds came from the nothingness pill furnace. Every time there was a muffled sound, Xie Zhe's mouth would twitch slightly. Whether or not the medicinal liquid could be successfully brewed was related to whether or not Xie Zhe could prolong his life. Therefore, every slight sound would cause Xie Zhe to be highly focused, afraid that the decoction of the medicinal liquid would fail. Rise! 3 minutes later, Ning Yu suddenly jumped up and slapped the furnace with his right hand. Bang! As Ning Yu slapped out, the lid of the cauldron suddenly opened and a drop of medicinal liquid the size of a fingernail flew out of the cauldron. Chi-chi! After the medicinal liquid flew out, it did not stay where it was. Instead, it tore through the void, trying to escape through it. It seems like this drop of medicinal liquid really has a spiritual nature. Looking at the medicinal liquid that tore through the void, Ningyu frowned slightly and his expression turned solemn. According to the records of the reincarnation pill Tao, medicinal liquids that could prolong one's life could give birth to a spiritual nature. Originally, Ning Yu thought that the medicinal liquid he brewed would not be able to give birth to a spiritual nature. Now, it seemed like he was indeed a little careless. Ordinary medicinal liquids could extend one's life by a month. However, a medicinal liquid that gave birth to a spiritual nature could extend one's life by 4 months, a difference of 4 times. However, the difficulty of capturing a medicinal liquid that gave birth to a spiritual nature was also 4 times harder than capturing ordinary medicinal liquids. Where do you think you are going? Since the medicinal liquid was brewed by Ningyu, Ningyu naturally would not let it escape. With a flash, Ningyu dashed out and gathered the essence qi in his body on his wrist. He grabbed the medicinal liquid fiercely. Although the medicinal liquid gave birth to a spiritual nature, it was ultimately just a spiritual nature. It did not have a spiritual consciousness. As long as it did not have a spiritual consciousness, there was no way to escape Ning Yu's grasp. His palm reached deep into the void. Before long, Ning Yu grabbed the medicinal liquid in his hand. Not bad. Looking at the medicinal liquid in his hand, Ning Yu nodded in satisfaction. A drop of medicinal liquid with a spiritual nature could extend Xie Zhe's life by 4 months. If he brewed 3 drops, wouldn't he be able to extend Xie Zhe's life by a year? The longer Xie Zhe's life was, the safer it would be for him to enter the Moling mountain range this time. Continue brewing the medicinal liquid. After putting away the first drop of medicinal liquid with a spiritual nature, Ning Yu did not idle around. Instead, he instructed Xie Zhe to start brewing the second drop of medicinal liquid. Understood. The success of the first drop of medicinal liquid gave Xie Zhe a lot of confidence. He followed the previous method and started to heat the bottom of the incorporeal pill furnace. This time, Xie Zhe worked exceptionally hard. With the same actions, Ning Yu carefully brewed the second drop of medicinal liquid, wanting to brew a medicinal liquid with a spiritual nature. Bang! Not long after, Ning Yu's hand patted the pill furnace. The second drop of medicinal liquid flew out. Ning Yu reacted quickly and firmly grabbed the second drop of medicinal liquid in his hand. Feeling the aura emitted by the second drop of medicinal liquid, Ning Yu frowned slightly and gently shook his head. Unfortunately, the second drop of medicinal liquid did not give birth to a spiritual nature. A medicinal liquid that did not give birth to a spiritual nature could only extend Xie Zhe's life by a month. Failed! Seeing Ning Yu shake his head, Xie Zhe's heart thumped. He had gone through untold hardships and even burned his life. If the second drop of medicinal liquid was declared a failure, it would be a huge blow to him. I didn't fail, I'm just a little dissatisfied. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating that Xie Zhe did not need to worry. Subsequently, Ning Yu said again, continue brewing the third drop of medicinal liquid. Yes. Xie Zhe swung his hands, and the energy in his body gushed out along his palms, starting to heat the bottom of the incorporeal pill furnace. Ningyu threw all of the remaining medicinal herbs into the pill furnace and carefully started brewing. Even though it was the third time brewing the medicinal liquid, Ningyu still did not dare to be negligent. Brewing this kind of medicinal liquid that could extend one's life, the slightest carelessness would result in failure. Ningyu did not want to fail. After all, the main combat power to enter the Moling mountain range and seize the sacred great essence crystal mine was Xie. Rise. Roughly a few minutes later, a cold glint shot out of Ningyu's eyes. Then his right hand slapped the pill furnace fiercely. Whoosh! In a split second, a drop of medicinal liquid sprang out of the pill furnace. Ningyu planted both feet on the ground and caught the third drop of medicinal liquid steadily. It didn't give birth to a spiritual nature again. Sensing the situation inside the third drop of medicinal liquid, Ningyu was slightly disappointed. 3 drops of medicinal liquid. Only the first drop gave birth to a spiritual nature. The remaining 2 drops did not. That was to say, 3 drops of medicinal liquid could extend Xie's life by 6 months. 6 months of lifespan was not long, but it was not short either. As long as he did not encounter a peak sky supreme expert in the Moling mountain range, relying on Xie's 9 months of lifespan, he could put up a good fight. Swallow these 3 drops of medicinal liquid. They can extend your life by 6 months. Chapter 1571. Chapter 1571. Chapter 1571 Half Saint? 6 months of lifespan? Xie's face was full of shock as he caught the 3 drops of liquid. What was going on? Xie clearly remembered that Ningyu had said that each drop could only extend his lifespan by 1 month. Logically speaking, 3 drops could only extend one's lifespan by 3 months. Why did Ningyu say that it could extend his lifespan by 6 months? Do you want it or not? Ningyu stared at Xie and said, If you don't want it, I can give it to someone else. Swoosh! Hearing Ningyu's words, Xie did not say a word and directly threw the 3 drops of liquid into his mouth. Buzz! As soon as the 3 drops of liquid entered his mouth, they quickly flowed through Xie's body and began to circulate in his body. The medicinal liquid took effect very quickly. 3 minutes later, Xie felt that his rapidly depleting lifespan had stopped. In other words, his lifespan was slowly increasing. Who exactly is Ningyu? How could he even concoct such a heaven-defying medicinal liquid? Feeling the changes in his body, Xie's pupils shrank and he could not help but shift his gaze to Ningyu. Originally, Xie thought that Ningyu was a peerless genius from some big sect or family. But now, Xie's thoughts had undergone a huge change. In Xie's opinion, Ningyu was not a genius from some big sect or family, but an old monster. Only an old monster could be so monstrous. No, I have to quickly refine the medicinal liquid. Taking a deep breath, Xie threw away everything in his mind and focused on refining the medicinal liquid. Xie was very clear that only by refining all 3 drops of liquid could he extend his lifespan by 6 months. Otherwise, everything would be for naught. In the conference hall, Xie was refining the medicinal liquid while Ningyu watched from the side. To be honest, even Ningyu himself did not know how effective the medicinal liquid was. Although Ningyu said that the medicinal solution was very effective, he himself was not very sure. Ningyu wanted to confirm if the 3 drops could extend Xie's lifespan by 6 months. If the 3 drops of medicinal liquid could really extend Xie's lifespan by 6 months, then the medicinal liquid he brewed in the future could definitely be sold for a good price in a big auction house. Drip, drip. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. In this half an hour, Ningyu's gaze was always on Xie, not moving away for even a moment. Bang! After waiting for half an hour, Xie Zhe's aura finally underwent a huge change. A terrifying aura surged out of Xie Zhe's body and soared into the sky with a dull thud. Pinnacle, heavenly sovereign. Ning Yu could sense that Xie Zhe was a peak sky supreme. Unfortunately, due to the effects of the parasite poison in his body, Xie Zhe's peak sky supreme aura disappeared in a flash and quickly returned to normal. Feeling the changes in his body, Xie Zhe took a deep breath and said to Ning Yu, "Thank you." Although his life was temporarily in Ning Yu's hands, Xie Zhe was grateful to Ning Yu from the bottom of his heart. At the very least, Ning Yu had given him 6 months of lifespan. Moreover, Ning Yu had given him hope. At this moment, Xie Zhe even thought that Ning Yu could completely cure the parasite poison in his body. "Now, I have something for you to do." Ning Yu waved his hand and said, "Call your old friends to Giant Shield City. I need their help." "You want to see my old friends?" Xie Zhe's mouth opened slightly. "The weakest of my old friends is a late-stage Sky Supreme, and there are even some heaven-defying old monsters at the half-saint level. Furthermore, they all have injuries and strange temperaments. Are you sure there's nothing wrong with them?" Ning Yu shrugged and said, "It's not a problem to have a high cultivation and a strange temper. You just need to tell them that I can heal their injuries." "You want to cure their injuries?" Xie Zhe seemed to have heard something extremely shocking. His eyes widened as he said in surprise, "My old friend's injuries are all more serious than mine. Some have broken legs, some are blind, and there are even some who only have a yuanshin left. You, don't give me that empty talk." Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, "What you need to do is to invite all your old friends to come to me." This, Xie Zhe hesitated. Actually, Xie Zhe had his own difficulties. It wasn't that he didn't want to invite his old friends over, but the price to do so was too high. His old friends were all injured, and every time they went out, they would consume a lot of their vitality. They wouldn't go out easily. This was the motto of his old friends. Therefore, his old friends wouldn't come out without absolute benefits. "Speak," Ning Yu said when he saw Xie Zhe's hesitation. "If you can provide everyone with a drop of life-prolonging medicinal liquid, I can invite a few old friends over." Xie Zhe gritted his teeth. "No problem. I need you to find them as soon as possible." "As soon as possible," Ning Yu said in a deep voice. "Think about it. When will the fastest old friends arrive?" Ning Yu would soon go to the Moling mountain range to destroy the sacred grade crystal mine of the Divine Emperor Palace. Therefore, it would be great if he could have help. As for Xie Zhe's old friends, not only did they have high cultivation, but they also had various injuries. Ning Yu might not be able to help much, but he had a unique understanding of how to treat people. After all, there are many records about this in the reincarnation Pil Dao. Ning Yu was very confident in this aspect. "I have an old friend in the Qinyan Empire. His situation is similar to mine, but slightly better because he still has about 3 years to live." Xie Zhe said, "If you can provide 3 portions of medicinal liquid, no, 2 portions of medicinal liquid, I can invite him over. The time limit is 3 hours. No problem. Prepare the medicinal ingredients for me. I'll start decocting the medicinal liquid now." Ning Yu nodded and said, "I want to see your old friend in 3 hours." "Okay, I'll go now." Xie Zhe didn't dare to neglect Ning Yu's instructions. He moved his feet and immediately rushed out of the conference hall. "Wait, what's the cultivation of your old friend?" However, Ning Yu's words rang in Xie Zhe's ears as soon as he arrived at the main entrance of the conference hall. Ning Yu's words made Xie Zhe slightly stunned. Shortly after, he said, at his peak he had the cultivation of a half-step saint. However, due to some reasons, his cultivation dropped to the pinnacle Sky Supreme. Recently, he was affected by something and only has 3 years left to live. Half-step saint, pinnacle sky supreme. 3 years. Ningyu murmured. Through Xie Zhe's description, Ningyu had a rough idea of the situation of his old friend. At his peak, he had the cultivation of a half-step saint. However, due to his injuries, his cultivation dropped to the pinnacle sky supreme. Chapter 1572. Chapter 1572. Chapter 1572. Wait, go ahead. I'm looking forward to meeting your old friend. Ningyu waved his hand at Xie Zhe and said, Also, help me prepare a few more sets of ingredients. I will start brewing the medicinal liquid now. Understood. Xie Zhe nodded and left the meeting hall without looking back. To Xie Zhe, whether or not he could extend his lifespan and expel the goo poison from his body depended on Ningyu. Therefore, Xie Zhe did not dare to neglect Ningyu's instructions. Xie Zhe knew what to do next. 2 things. The first was to hand over the list of medicinal herbs that Ningyu had given him to Fairy Yun Shi. He wanted Fairy Yun Shi to find as many medicinal herbs as she could find. Second, Xie Zhe had to personally head to the Thousand-Leaf Empire to find that old friend of his. Xie Zhe did not feel at ease letting others go to the Qinya Empire to invite old friends. Xie Zhe knew that his old friend was suspicious and had a strange temper. If anyone else were to go, they might not even be able to see his old friend. Whoosh! Xie Zhe did not leave through the main gate of Giant Shield City. Instead, he left quietly through the underground. It could be said that no one in the huge Giant Shield City knew that Xie Zhe had left. Even Ningyu thought that Xie Zhe had used a secret technique to contact an old friend. The sacred grade, primordial crystal mine that the Emperor Palace is so careful of must be a huge mine. In the conference hall, Ningyu's eyes were burning with passion. Xie Zhe was already under his control, and he had 9 months of lifespan. He could temporarily unleash the strength of a peak sky supreme. If he could convince Xie Zhe's old friend, then this trip to the Moling mountain range would have an additional guarantee. Forget it. I'll use this time to consolidate my cultivation. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu sat cross-legged on the ground and waved his hands to consolidate his cultivation. Ningyu had already advanced to the peak 9th grade human supreme. As long as he had the Shengyang pills, Ningyu had a high chance of advancing to the Earth supremacy realm. Of course, the prerequisite was that Ningyu had to completely stabilize his cultivation and not be impetuous. If one's cultivation rose too quickly in a short period of time, it would be easy for one to go berserk. In order to raise his cultivation to the Earth's sovereign realm in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein, Ningyu could only focus on consolidating his cultivation. Drip, drip. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. When the second hour arrived, the main door of the conference hall was slowly pushed open. Creak! With a soft creaking sound, Fairy Yin, she walked in with large strides. These are the herbs you wanted. After entering the meeting hall, Fairy Yin, she didn't waste her breath with Ningyu. With a flick of her wrist, she threw the storage bag to Ningyu. Pa! Catching the storage bag, Ningyu released his perception and probed it a little. Ningyu discovered that there were 3.5 sets of herbs in the storage bag. Go stand guard outside the conference hall. Without my permission, no one is allowed to enter. Ningyu waved his hand, indicating for Fairy Yin she to open the conference hall. Originally, Ningyu wanted to let Fairy Yin she brew the medicinal liquid for him. But seeing Fairy Yin she's angry face, he immediately changed his mind. Fairy Yin, she didn't know that Xie Zhe was already under his control, so it was understandable for her to have such an expression. Letting Fairy Yin she stay was not only bad, but it would also cause unnecessary trouble. Although Ning Yu had Xie Zhe under his control, he didn't want too many people to know. The more people that knew, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Ning Yu wasn't foolish enough to think that the 100 Flowers Palace only had Xie Zhe as their foundation. To be able to become a peak force in the Pill Formation mainland and even the Sky Fiend region, their foundation was definitely not small. For example, among those old monsters hidden in the Emptiness Secret Realm, there was definitely someone at the level of the 100 Flowers Palace's ancestor. Humph. Fairy Yin, she snorted coldly and glared at Ning Yu fiercely before leaving the conference hall. Bang! Her right hand conveniently closed the conference hall's door, giving off a crisp sound. If not for Xie Zhe's instructions, Fairy Yin, she definitely wouldn't have stayed behind to watch the door for Ning Yu. After a period of time, Old Man Heavenly Secrets will come to Giant Shield City. I want to see just how you bewitched the ancestor. Outside the conference hall, Fairy Yin, she's eyes shot out a hint of cold light as she said coldly. In Fairy Yin Shi's view, Xie Zhe was bewitched by Ning Yu. As long as Old Man Heavenly Secrets came, he could definitely make Xie Zhe repent. The ignorant are fearless. Inside the hall, Ning Yu rolled his eyes, then threw the nothingness pill furnace into the air and directly started brewing the medicinal liquid. The crux of whether or not he could convince Xie Zhe's old friend was the medicinal liquid. If Ning Yu could brew out 2 drops of medicinal liquid with spirituality, he could definitely convince Xie Zhe's old friend to let him enter the Moling Mountain range together with him. Ning Yu discarded all distracting thoughts and started brewing the medicinal liquid. Because he wanted to brew a medicinal liquid with spirituality, compared to the previous time, Ning Yu's speed of brewing the medicinal liquid was clearly much slower. After a full hour, Ning Yu only managed to brew out the first drop of medicinal liquid. Holy **T. Looking at the first drop of medicinal liquid in his palm, Ning Yu could not help but swear. Medicinal liquid with spirituality was extremely difficult to brew. Even though Ning Yu spent an hour to brew it, it was still declared a failure, and he did not manage to brew out a medicinal liquid with spirituality. I don't believe it. Ning Yu was extremely serious when doing things. In the second hour, Ning Yu was still brewing the medicinal liquid carefully. Swish! When the third hour arrived, Ning Yu slapped the pill furnace fiercely, and the second drop of medicinal liquid shot out. Grabbing the second drop of medicinal liquid, Ning Yu's eyes revealed an extremely pleasantly surprised look. Hard work pays off. The second drop of medicinal liquid was a medicinal liquid with spirituality. I'll strive for the third drop of medicinal liquid to also have spirituality. Ning, you kept the 2 drops of medicinal liquid into the jade bottle and then started brewing the third drop. Buzz! When Ning Yu was brewing the third drop of medicinal liquid, the void suddenly split open. Outside the meeting hall, the void suddenly split open, and 2 figures appeared beside Fairy Yun Shi. Why are you here? One of the figures saw Fairy Yin, she standing outside the door, and asked in puzzlement, Is Ning Yu brewing medicinal liquid inside? Very clearly, this martial artist who spoke was none other than Xie Zhe. And beside Xie Zhe stood an old man. The old man stood on the spot as if he had merged into the void. There was not even a trace of essence qi fluctuation around the old man, looking no different from an ordinary person. Even Fairy Yin, she did not notice anything special about the old man. Although she had many doubts in her heart, Fairy Yin, she still answered honestly, Ning Yu is brewing medicinal liquid inside. He asked me to take a look and said that no one can enter without his permission. Since you guys are here, I naturally have to open the door. As she spoke, Fairy Yin, she extended her right hand towards the door handle of the main hall. You mustn't. Chapter 1573. Killing Intent. Old Ancestor, are you all right? Fairy Yunshi's mouth was slightly agape when she heard Xie Zhe's words. Although this was what Fairy Yunshi had said, she had quietly retracted her right hand. Xie Zhe didn't let her open the door to the hall, so she naturally didn't dare to open it. If she angered Xie Zhe, she definitely wouldn't have a good time. There's nothing else for you to do here. You can leave first. Xie Zhe waved his hand and said, You have to pay close attention to the situation around Giant Shield City. Once you see any experts from Emperor Divine Palace, inform me immediately. All right. Although he was very puzzled, there was no need for him to stay, since Xie Zhe had already said that. But before she left Fairy Yin, she looked at the old man beside Xie Zhe with a puzzled expression. Fairy Yin, she really couldn't understand why Xie Zhe would invite an old man with no yuan qi fluctuations over. Of course. Fairy Yin, she felt that Xie Zhe had done too many ridiculous things, so many that she couldn't stand it anymore. There's someone brewing a medicinal liquid inside, and his cultivation is only at the peak of grade 9 human supreme. After Fairy Yin she left, the old man said indifferently, Xie Zhe, are you sure that the young martialist you praise so much is the peak grade 9 human supreme inside? That's right, it's him. The reason why I have an extra 9 months of lifespan is all because of him. Xie Zhe hurriedly nodded and replied. Xie Zhe didn't dare to slight Ningyu. Xie Zhe also didn't dare to slight this old man. Although the old man didn't have any yuan qi fluctuations, Xie Zhe was very clear that the old man was extremely powerful. Once he attacked, Xie Zhe wouldn't even have a chance to retaliate. The only thing that comforted Xie Zhe was that the old man wouldn't attack recklessly. The higher the cultivation, the greater the price of attacking. It could be said that once the old man attacked, he would expend a huge amount of lifespan. The old man only had 3 years left to live, and he didn't have any more time to waste. Bring me in to take a look. I want to see what kind of divine being the peerless genius that you've praised so highly is. The old man moved and instantly arrived in front of the hall. He extended his right hand and was about to push the door open. Wait, Xie Zhe hurriedly said. Ning Yu should be brewing the medicine in the main hall. In my opinion, we should wait here for a while. Wait? I don't have the habit of waiting for people. The corners of the old man's mouth lifted into an arc, and his figure gradually became illusory. Damn it! Xie Zhe cursed when he saw the old man disappear. The old man had a bad temper, and neither did Ningyu. If they got into a conflict, who should he help? After cursing under his breath, Xie Zhe pushed open the door and walked in. Wait a moment. Inside the main hall, although Ningyu was doing his best to brew the 3rd drop of medicinal liquid, Ningyu was still aware that Xie Zhe had brought his old friend over. Moreover, the old man did not enter from the main entrance. Instead, he tore through the void and came to the conference hall. Ningyu was also very clear about this. Ningyu knew that the old man was hiding in the void, but he didn't expose him. Instead, he slapped the pill furnace with his right hand, and the 3rd drop of medicinal liquid flew out. What? In the void, the old man sensed the terrifying vitality contained in the 3rd drop of medicinal liquid. His expression changed instantly as he appeared in the void. The old man's speed was half a beat faster than Ningyu's. The 3rd drop of medicinal liquid was caught in the old man's hand. Who is your master? Holding the 3rd drop of medicinal liquid, the old man stared at Ningyu and said in a deep voice, Get your master out here. I want to make a deal with him. As the old man only had 3 years left to live, he was eager to obtain anything that could extend his lifespan. Of course, the old man's ambition was far greater than that. Not only did he want the medicinal liquid that Ningyu brewed, but he also wanted to meet Ningyu's master, because only when Ningyu's master appeared could his internal injuries be completely healed. Extending his lifespan would only treat the symptoms and not the root cause. I'm sorry, My master travels the world, and even I can't find him. The third drop of medicinal liquid was snatched away by the old man. Ningyu wasn't angry. Instead, he said indifferently, "Instead of making a deal with my master, why don't you make a deal with me?" Actually, when the old man was outside the hall, Ningyu had been observing him. Even when the old man appeared, Ningyu was still observing him. According to Ningyu's observation, the old man's aura was restrained and his yuan qi was retracted into his body. Moreover, there was a faint red hidden in the old man's glabella. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't notice it. As for the old man's internal condition, Ningyu didn't rashly observe it. After all, the old man was a half-saint at his peak and was now a peak sky supreme. Ning, you didn't want anything to go wrong. Oh, you want to make a deal with me? The old man didn't answer Ningyu directly. Instead, he raised his brows and said, "What right do you have to make a deal with me?" Boom! As he spoke, the old man unleashed his aura and crazily suppressed Ningyu. "Guoliang, what are you doing?" Before Ningyu could speak, Xie Zhe hurriedly said, "Ningyu is my friend. Are you going to kill him?" "Don't worry. I'm just testing him to see if he's qualified to make a deal with me." The old man called Guoliang revealed a sinister smile. "A mere peak 9th grade sovereign dares to speak to me like this? I'm afraid he must have a powerful trump card." After all, he had something to ask of Ningyu's master, so he didn't kill Ningyu right from the start. The aura that Guoliang displayed was only that of a first-grade Earth Supreme. The drop of medicinal liquid in your hand was personally brewed by me. It can extend your lifespan by 4 months. Under the pressure of Guoliang's first-grade Earth Supreme aura, Ningyu didn't feel any discomfort. Seeing that Ningyu wasn't affected by his aura, Guoliang raised his brows and increased his aura from a first-grade Earth Supreme to a second-grade Earth Supreme. Guoliang originally thought that the pressure of a second-grade Earth Supreme would be able to make Ningyu kneel. But who could have imagined that facing the pressure of a second-grade Earth Supreme? Not only did Ningyu not kneel, he shrugged and said, "Xie Zhe said that you only have 3 years left to live. But in my opinion, you still have at least 5 years left to live." What? Hearing Ningyu's words, both Xie Zhe and Guoliang had shock on their faces. Xie Zhe was shocked because, in his opinion, Guoliang only had 3 years left to live. So why would Ningyu say that Guoliang still had 5 years left to live? As for Guoliang, he was shocked because Ningyu had guessed correctly. The reason why he said that he only had 3 years to live was so that he could lure out his most powerful enemy in 3 years and then kill him. The weakest of Guoliang's enemies were peak heavenly sovereigns. Originally, Guoliang was still feeling complacent, thinking that his plan was flawless and that no one could discover it. But now, Ningyu had seen through it. In an instant, Guoliang's face turned terrifyingly gloomy. Chapter 1574. Chapter 1574. Devouring medicinal liquid, could it be true? Guoliang's reaction made Xie Zhe's heart skip a beat. Guoliang only had 3 years left to live. It was a well-known fact in their circle. Guoliang's reaction made Xie Zhe's mind go into overdrive. If Ningyu's guess was true, then Guoliang must be afraid of an expert. Nonsense. Guoliang's face turned cold as he reprimanded. "If you don't make things clear today, don't blame me for being impolite." Moreover, Guoliang's aura increased from grade 2 Earth Supreme to grade 3 as he spoke. Guoliang wanted to gain an absolute advantage in terms of aura. "You want to kill me." Although Guoliang's aura increased to grade 3 Earth Supreme, Ningyu did not have much of a reaction. He shrugged and said, "But I have to remind you that 5 years will pass in the blink of an eye. Are you threatening me? Guo Liang's heart skipped a beat when he heard Ning Yu's words. In fact, he knew better than anyone else. 5 years would indeed pass in the blink of an eye. Moreover, from Ning Yu's words and posture, Guo Liang found that Ning Yu was fearless, as if he had a card up his sleeve. Ning Yu was not afraid of him. As soon as this thought was born, it lingered in Guo Liang's mind for a long time. Let's see what you're capable of. Guo Liang's aura increased again, from grade 3 Earth Supreme to grade 4 Earth Supreme. It's not that easy to suppress me with just aura. How could Ning Yu not know what Guo Liang was thinking? He stood where he was, not moving at all, allowing Guo Liang's aura to press down on him. On the other side, Xie Zhe noticed this strange scene. Originally, Ning Yu and Guo Liang were at loggerheads, and it looked like they were about to start a fight. Who would have thought that the situation would suddenly change, and they would actually compete in terms of aura? In Xie Zhe's view, Ning Yu had no chance of winning if they were to compete in aura. How could a 9th grade pinnacle human sovereign win against a half-saint at his peak in terms of aura? Should I use my feat to win? In other words, Guo Liang only needed to use 10% of his aura to defeat Ning Yu. Buzz. Although Guo Liang kept increasing his aura, the results were not satisfactory. No matter how much Guo Liang increased his aura, Ning Yu was not completely suppressed. Ning Yu even turned around and walked toward Xie Zhe. This is infuriating. Seeing Ning Yu's actions, Guo Liang and Xie Zhe were both dumbfounded. Guo Liang was shocked because he had already raised his aura to the 6th grade Earth Sovereign Realm, but it still didn't give any pressure to Ning Yu. Xie Zhe was surprised by Ning Yu's calmness. Facing an old monster like Guo Liang, Ning Yu could still be so calm. It had to be said that Ning Yu was indeed very courageous. Xie Zhe, how long will it take for your other old friends to arrive? Ning Yu looked at Xie Zhe and asked solemnly. Air! Hearing Ning Yu's words, Xie Zhe was stunned for a moment before he replied, I only informed Guo Liang. I didn't inform my other old friends. Swish! As soon as Xie Zhe's words landed, Ning Yu's face turned gloomy. Entering the Moling mountain range was a matter of great importance. Ning, you didn't want to make a wasted trip. Guo Liang was indeed powerful, but his injuries weren't any lighter than Xie Zhe's. If they were to fight, it was hard to tell who would win between Xie Zhe and Guo Liang. One could imagine that the force left behind by the Emperor Divine Palace to protect the Saint Grade Crystal Vein must be very powerful. Just Xie Zhe and Guo Liang, who were injured, might not be able to gain an advantage. Seeing Ning Yu's cold expression, Xie Zhe's heart skipped a beat. He vaguely felt that something bad was about to happen. He didn't complete the task that Ning Yu had entrusted to him. With Ning Yu's character, he would definitely suffer. However, Xie Zhe was also very smart. Before Ning Yu could lose his temper, he immediately patted his chest and said, I'll go inform them right away. Not only did Xie Zhe agree with Ning Yu verbally, but he also immediately headed out of the conference hall. Wait, before Xie Zhe left the conference hall, Ning Yu waved his hand and said, There's no hurry to inform our friends. Seal off the entire conference hall. I don't want anyone else to know about what's going to happen later besides the 3 of us. Yes. Ning Yu's words slightly alleviated Xie Zhe's worries. As long as Ning Yu didn't get angry, everything would be fine. Swish! With a thought, Xie Zhe carefully sealed off the conference hall. After all, Ning Yu had something on him. Therefore, Xie Zhe didn't dare to disobey Ning Yu's instructions. Humph! Trying to act mysterious, Xie Zhe's actions made Guo Liang's face turn ugly as he coldly snorted. I'll see what you're capable of. As he spoke, Guo Liang's aura rose to a terrifying height. Pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. Through his previous efforts, Guo Liang realized that Ning Yu seemed to be immune to his aura. The aura of a 6th or 7th grade Earth sovereign couldn't pose any threat to Ningyu. Thus, Guoliang gritted his teeth and unleashed the aura of a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign in an attempt to suppress Ningyu. You've said this a few times, and I can tell you that even if you're in your peak state, it's impossible for you to suppress me with your aura alone. Ningyu shrugged as he looked at Guoliang. I advise you not to waste your energy. We can make a deal. I'll extend your lifespan, and you have to do something for me. Boom! Guoliang seemed to have been convinced by Ningyu. His aura suddenly disappeared, and he returned to his calm state. You said that you can extend my lifespan. How do you want to prove it? After returning to his calm state, Guoliang stared at Ningyu. If you can't prove it today, then I'm sorry, but I might have to send you to hell. How do you want me to prove it? I've already said that the drop of liquid in your hand can extend your lifespan by 4 months. Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, Besides that drop of medicinal liquid, I can give you another 2 drops of medicinal liquid that can extend your lifespan by 5 months. In total, it's 9 months of lifespan. Why should I believe you? Guoliang still didn't believe Ningyu. It wasn't Guoliang's style to devour unknown liquids for no reason. Steady. This was Guoliang's usual style and conduct. You can choose not to believe me. The decision is in your hands, and I can't interfere. Ningyu's tone was calm without any emotions. Ningyu was well versed in the art of negotiation. If he wanted to gain the upper hand in a negotiation with someone like Guoliang, there was only one condition. He couldn't be a coward. If he was a coward, the other party would be tough. If he was tough, the other party's aura would naturally weaken. All right, let me see if this drop of liquid is effective. After a moment of silence, Guoliang flicked his wrist and threw the liquid into his mouth. Rumble. Chapter 1575. Shocking changes this. Guoliang's jaw dropped as he felt the vitality from the liquid. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Vitality. Boundless vitality. Guoliang had not felt such vitality for many years. What kind of liquid did Ningyu take out? How could it exude such a terrifying vitality? Can it really extend my lifespan by 4 months? Guoliang was shocked, but he did not show it. Instead, he used a secret technique to refine the liquid in his body. Drip. Time was ticking away slowly. Inside the conference hall, Ningyu and Xie Zhe stood on the spot as their gazes landed on Guoliang. Ningyu and Xie Zhe did not look surprised, because they knew very well that Guoliang could definitely extend his lifespan by 4 months. There was no doubt about it. Phew! 10 minutes later, Guoliang breathed out a mouthful of turbid air. He had yet to recover from the shock. 1 drop of liquid could extend his lifespan by 4 months. If it was before, Guoliang would not have believed it. Even though he saw it with his own eyes, Guoliang still found it unbelievable. It was like a dream. Guoliang knew that the elixir that extended lifespan was called the Jia-Zi pill. Each Jia-Zi pill could extend one's lifespan by 60 years. Guoliang had never heard of an elixir that could extend one's lifespan. How much of this liquid do you have? Unable to conceal the joy in his eyes, Guoliang said to Ningyu, I want as much as you have. You can name your conditions. Guoliang was a decent person. He did not choose to rob, but wanted to make a deal with Ningyu. Each person can only consume 3 drops of this liquid. After that, it is useless. Ningyu knew what Guoliang was thinking. He must be thinking that a few dozen drops of the liquid could extend his lifespan by a few years. A few hundred drops could even extend his lifespan by a few decades. What? Hearing Ningyu's words, Guoliang was stunned for a moment before revealing a disappointed expression. If each person could only consume 3 drops of the liquid, Wouldn't that mean that he could only extend his lifespan by 1 year? If it could only extend his lifespan by a year, then the medicinal liquid was not that important to him. Tell me, what do you want for the 3 drops? Taking a deep breath, Guo Liang said, as long as it's within reason, I can give it to you. I've said it before, I can give you all 3 drops. These are the other 2. Ningyu raised his eyebrows and threw the remaining 2 drops to Guo Liang. Whoosh! Catching the 2 drops of liquid, Guo Liang asked hesitantly, Are you sure you don't want to raise any conditions? Ningyu didn't mention any conditions, which made Guo Liang feel a little embarrassed. Although the medicinal liquid that could prolong one's lifespan by a year was not particularly important to him, it was a miraculous elixir in the eyes of those who were about to die. Even if they had to pay a great price, they would not hesitate to obtain it. How about this? You're a peak 9th grade human supreme being now. I can help you advance to the Earth Supreme Realm. After pondering for a moment, Guo Liang's figure flickered and directly appeared beside Ningyu. Chi-Chi, raising his right hand, strands of energy danced on Guo Liang's palm. As long as Guo Liang placed his palm on Ningyu's head, he could help Ningyu advance from a peak 9th grade human supreme being to a 1st grade Earth Supreme being. Your injuries aren't any lighter than Xie Zhe's. Are you sure you want to help me? Ningyu stared at Guo Liang and said solemnly, I won't lose anything by helping you. Guo Liang said, Furthermore, I don't want to owe you a favor. Haha, don't worry. I won't let you owe me a favor. Ningyu smiled and said, As long as you do one thing for me, then the matter of the 3 drops of medicinal liquid will be written off. What do you want me to do for you? Guo Liang did not agree to Ningyu's request immediately. Guo Liang did not want to fall into Ningyu's trap. If Ningyu asked him to do something bad, wouldn't he be doomed if he agreed rashly? There's a yuan crystal mine deep in the Moling Mountain Range. Your task is to get rid of all the martial artists guarding the mine, Ningyu said while looking at Guo Liang. No way. Guo Liang refused without hesitation. I definitely won't refuse if you ask me to do something else. But I can't kill anyone. That primordial crystal mine belongs to Emperor God Palace. Ningyu did not argue with Guo Liang. Instead, he continued, I don't think I need to tell you what Emperor Palace usually does, right? Killing others is killing, and killing people from Emperor Palace is also killing. You decide for yourself. I won't interfere. All right. At this point, Ningyu paused for a moment before continuing. I won't ask for your help for no reason. As long as you can help me get rid of the warriors guarding the Yuan crystal mine, I can think of a way to get you a Jiazi pill in 3 months. What? If Ningyu's previous words shocked Guo Liang, then Ningyu's words shocked him. Then what Ningyu had said completely shocked Guo Liang. Jia pill. A Jia pill could extend one's lifespan by 60 years. If he had a Jia pill, Guo Liang would not have to take the risk in 3 years. Although Guo Liang had prepared for a long time and had said that he could only live for 3 years, however, Guo Liang still did not have much confidence in the battle 3 years later, because Guo Liang's enemy was too powerful. If it was not necessary, Guo Liang did not want to go against him so early. Is there a problem? Guo Liang's reaction made Ningyu frown. He said, Everyone can only take 1 Jia pill. Even if I give you more Jia pills, it will be useless to you. How about this? Apart from the Jia pill, I can also find a way to get rid of the poison in your body. You want to get rid of the poison in my body. You want to get rid of the poison in Guo Liang's body. Xie Zhe and Guo Liang said at the same time. Guo Liang and Xie Zhe were both shocked. Don't make a fuss. I can't get rid of the poison in your body. Guo Liang's and Xie Zhe's reactions made Ningyu speechless. He did have a way to help Guo Liang and Xie Zhe. But the condition was that he had to reach the Earth Supreme Realm, or even the intermediate Earth Supreme Realm. Although I can't help you cure the goo poison in your bodies, I can ask my master to step forward and let my master help you. Ning Yu decided to tell the truth. He shrugged and said, "Of course, the condition is rumble." Before Ning Yu finished his words, he felt the entire city, Lord's mansion, start to shake. Not good. Someone is attacking Giant Shield City. Chapter 1576. Chapter 1576. Chapter 1576 Alchemy Union. Let's go and have a look. Ning Yu is no longer in the mood to negotiate with Guoliang after what happened in Giant Shield City. From the intensity of the shaking of the city lord's mansion, Ning Yu is almost certain that the expert who had attacked Giant Shield City was extremely powerful. After all, Giant Shield City's peerless killing formation was still activated. Ordinary warriors, even mid-stage Heaven Supreme warriors, would not be able to bypass the peerless killing formation and attack the city lord's mansion. Could it be someone from Emperor Palace? In Ning Yu's opinion, the warrior who had attacked Giant Shield City was most likely from Emperor Palace. Because he had controlled the Patriarch of Emperor Palace, the two Heaven Supreme experts from Emperor Palace, Di Lin and Di Gang, had both died in front of Giant Shield City. Emperor Palace would definitely not sit back and do nothing about this. However, Ning Yu did not expect the people from Emperor Palace to arrive so quickly. In just a few hours, they had arrived at Giant Shield City and launched a terrifying attack. Swoosh! Swoosh! Since Ning Yu wanted to have a look, Xie Zhe and Guoliang naturally could not stop him. Moreover, Xie Zhe and Guoliang were very angry at the moment. They were discussing with Ning Yu about a matter that concerned their lives. How could they not be angry when someone attacked Giant Shield City at this time? Xie Zhe and Guoliang's figures flashed, and they followed closely behind Ning Yu. In an instant, they left the conference hall and rushed towards the city gate. Bad news! Ning Yu and the others had just left the conference hall and had only taken a few steps when a voice rang in their ears. Then, Yun Shi Fairy appeared in front of them. There are dozens of martial artists gathered outside Giant Shield City. Their cultivation bases are extremely high. It was obvious that Yun Shi Fairy was very nervous. Why are you panicking? You are in charge of comforting the people of Giant Shield City. Remember not to cause panic. I will handle this matter. Xie Zhe barked at Fairy Yin Shi before rushing towards the city gates with Ning Yu and Guoliang. Ancestor, you guys have to be careful. The cultivator that attacked the peerless slaughtering array might be a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Looking at Xie Zhe and Ning Yu's departing figures, Fairy Yin Shi could not help but remind them. I can't believe it. Ning Yu and the others who were far away nearly spat out a mouthful of blood when they heard Fairy Yin Shi's words. Now, they finally understood why Fairy Yin Shi was so flustered. No matter how powerful the peerless killing formation was, it could only block attacks from mid-stage Sky Supremes. If a pinnacle Sky Supreme wanted to attack the peerless killing array, it would only take 3 to 4 minutes to break it. This was also the reason why Fairy Yin Shi was so flustered. Faster! At this thought, Ning Yu, Xie Zhe, and the others sped up at the same time. Almost in an instant, they arrived at the city tower of Giant Shield City. More than a dozen cultivators had already gathered on the city tower. Palace Master Bai Hua, Golden Arowana Fish King, Master Xingyan, Bada, Master GMO, Danguzi, Sovereign Ling Su. It could be said that the elites of Giant Shield City were all on the city tower. Ning Yu, you're finally here. Ancestor, you're finally here. When they saw Ning Yu appear, Master Xingyan, Palace Master Bai Hua, and the others said in unison. In the eyes of Master Xingyan and the others, Ning Yu was their backbone. As long as Ning Yu appeared, the panic in their hearts would be slightly alleviated. In the eyes of the palace master Bai Hua and the others, Xie Zhe was the backbone of their 100 Flowers Palace. With Xie Zhe's appearance, the panic in their hearts would be slightly alleviated. Do you know who they are? On the city tower, Ning Yu waved his hand, signaling for Master Xingyan and the others to quiet down. In fact, Ning Yu's gaze had already swept across everyone outside the city. However, no matter how Ning Yu observed, he couldn't find out who they were. Judging from their attire, they didn't seem to be from the Emperor Palace. Ning Yu only found 2 important clues from his observation. There were a total of 20 to 30 cultivators, and the majority of them were pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns. Furthermore, Ning Yu could sense a torrential killing intent from those pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns. In other words, each of those pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns had hundreds or even thousands of lives in their hands. Another clue was that in front of the 20 to 30 people, there was a black-robed martial artist constantly attacking the peerless killing array. That black-robed cultivator's cultivation was indeed at the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm. We're not sure for the time being. The other party directly tore through space and appeared. After they appeared, only that black-robed cultivator attacked the peerless killing array. The rest retreated and did not speak. Grand Master Xingyan shook his head and said with a grave expression, "The peerless killing array won't last long. What should we do now?" Although Grand Master Xingyan was talking to Ning Yu, his eyes were on Xie Zhe. Grand Master Xingyan believed in Ning Yu, but Ning Yu's cultivation was only at the 9th grade human sovereign realm. He had to rely on Xie Zhe to deal with a pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm cultivator. I know who that pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm cultivator is and where he came from. Before Ning Yu and Xie Zhe could speak, Guoliang said solemnly, "His name is Yun Feng, a peerless genius from the Alchemist Union of the Dan-Cheng continent." Alchemist Union? Guoliang's words made Ning Yu and Xie Zhe look surprised at the same time. I got it. Suddenly, Ning Yu clenched his fists and understood everything. Originally, Ning Yu thought that it was the Emperor Divine Palace who attacked Giant Shield City. But after Guoliang's reminder, he understood everything. Not long ago, due to Xie Zhe's sudden appearance, Meng Quan and the mid-stage Heavenly Sovereign were forced to leave. Before Xie Zhe appeared, the mid-stage Heavenly Sovereign from the Alchemist Union had been eyeing the golden arowana Fish King, wanting to capture it and bring it back for alchemy. Meng Quan and the mid-stage Heavenly Sovereign from the Alchemist Union would definitely not give up. Therefore, they returned to the Alchemist Union and found Yun Feng, a peerless genius at the peak stage Heavenly Sovereign realm. They wanted him to break the peerless killing array and capture the golden arowana Fish King. The reason why they dared to return was because they found out that Xie Zhe was seriously injured and could not display his peak combat power. Otherwise, Meng Quan and the others would not have dared to return. Xie Zhe, Guoliang, think of a way to stop that black-robed cultivator. After thinking it through, Ning Yu said to Xie Zhe and Guoliang in a deep voice. Their top priority was not to discuss anything else, but to stop the black-robed cultivator from attacking the peerless killing array. Once the peerless killing array was broken, the many experts in the distance would attack Giant Shield City. At that time, the people would inevitably be plunged into misery and suffering. I can think of a way to stop the black-robed cultivator, but you have to. Guoliang started to negotiate with Ning Yu. As long as we can get through this crisis, I promise to ask my master to help you get rid of the goo poison in your body. How could Ning Yu not know what Guoliang was thinking? Chapter 1577. Fight hand to hand, all right. Since Ning Yu had put it this way, it would be hard for Guoliang to make any excessive requests. After answering, Guo Liang directly tore space and left the powerful killing formation, flying towards the black-robed cultivator. At his peak, Guo Liang was a half-step saint. Even though he was injured, he was still a peak sky supreme. A mere supreme killing formation could not stump him. Moreover, when Xie invited Guo Liang over, he had already told Guo Liang the method to break the exceptional killing array. Therefore, Guo Liang left effortlessly. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Guo Liang arrived in front of the black-robed cultivator and stood still, communicating with the black-robed cultivator. On the city gate tower of Giant Shield City, the gazes of Ningyu and the others all landed on Guo Liang and the black-robed cultivator, Yunfeng. It was crucial whether Guo Liang could persuade Yunfeng or not. The situation is not optimistic. Looking at Yunfeng, who was still attacking the peerless killing array, Ningyu felt slightly worried. No one knew Guo Liang's current state better than Ningyu. On the surface, Guo Liang's cultivation was at the peak of the Sky Supreme Realm. However, that was not the case. After all, Guo Liang still had 5 years left to live. No, it should be 5 years and 9 months left to live. Since Guo Liang didn't have much lifespan left, he wouldn't fight Yunfeng head-on. He had only gone over to persuade the black-robed cultivator to stop attacking. However, the current situation forced Ningyu to make 2 backup plans. Although the black-robed martialist was conversing with Guo Liang, his attacks never stopped. According to this situation, in less than a minute, the peerless killing array would be broken. Xie, you go out too. If necessary, attack Yunfeng. Ningyu sent a spiritual message to Xie. No one else in Giant Shield City knew about the relationship between Xie and Ningyu. And Ning, you didn't want their relationship to be known by others. Thus, he and Xie had always communicated through spiritual transmission. Understood. Xie gritted his teeth and tore through the void, charging towards Guo Liang and Yunfeng. Ningyu, can they do it? Seeing Xie and Guo Liang leave Giant Shield City one after another, Grandmaster Xinyan's face turned solemn. If it doesn't work, I can leave with the Tower of Yuzuan and forcefully stop Yunfeng of the Alchemy Union. Don't worry. If the 2 of them can't do it, then no one in the entire Giant Shield City can. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating for Fairy Yun she not to worry. In fact, Ningyu was right. Xie was a peak sky supreme, while Guo Liang was a half-saint at his peak. Both of them had no way to stop Yunfeng. If the rest of them went out, it would be no different from courting death. All right, relatively speaking, Master Xinyan still believed in Ningyu. Ning Yu had never gone back on his word. Since Ningyu said so, it must be the truth. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Outside Giant Shield City in midair, the negotiation between Xie and Yunfeng had clearly failed. Xie's tone was cold. If you don't stop, don't blame us for being impolite. Yunfeng, let people off when possible. For my sake, let Giant Shield City go this time. Beside him, Guo Liang did not get angry. He was still negotiating with Guo Liang. Do you think I'm scared? Yunfeng did not care about Xie's toughness or his weakness. He was unmoved by force or persuasion. Yunfeng even said coldly, "You 2 sickly people. Even if the 2 of you attack together, you might not be able to stop me. Then let's try." Yunfeng's words completely infuriated Xie and Guo Liang. This was because Yunfeng had clearly used essence in his cold words. Hence, all the cultivators in Giant Shield City could hear him clearly. Guo Liang and Xie glanced at each other, then simultaneously launched a powerful attack at Yunfeng. Being ridiculed in front of so many people, whether it was Guo Liang or Xie, they could not take it. At this time, their thoughts were surprisingly consistent. Even if they had to expend a bit of their lives, they had to severely injure Yunfeng and teach him a lesson. insignificant tricks. Facing Guo Liang and Xie Zhe who were rushing towards him, Yun Feng's mouth curled into a cold arc. Since you guys refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, I can only send you on your way. Rumble. In the next moment, Yun Feng gave up on attacking the killing formation and turned to launch a powerful attack at Xie Zhe and Guo Liang. Killing move. Yun Feng did not attack, but the moment he attacked, it was a killing move. 2 streaks of cold light rushed toward Xie Zhe and Guo Liang from 2 directions. TSK, TSK. The speed of a cold light was very fast. In an instant, it arrived in front of Xie Zhe and Guo Liang. Block. Although Yun Feng used a killing move, Xie Zhe and Guo Liang were not to be trifled with. After all, they were peak experts on the same level as Yun Feng. Now that they were burning their lives to launch an attack, they easily blocked Yun Feng's fatal blow. Oh my, not bad. Facing Xie Zhe and Guo Liang's tough attacks, Yun Feng smiled and said, "If I'm not wrong, you guys need to consume 10 days of your lives to block one of my attacks. I want to see how much lifespan you can squander." Swoosh, 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 swoosh. As he spoke, Yun Feng attacked aggressively, blasting out a few streaks of cold light. Damn it! Xie Zhe and Guo Liang could not help but curse when they saw the cold light flying towards them. Their faces turned green. If they blocked so many cold lights, their lifespan would be reduced by at least 3 months. They were very unhappy that their lifespan was going to be reduced immediately after a few months. But being unhappy was one thing. Yun Feng was ruthless and cunning. They did not have time to think too much. Swoosh! In an instant, Xie Zhe and Guo Liang made a decision. They attacked aggressively and did not hesitate to burn their lives to block Yun Feng's powerful attack. Several spells were cast at the same time and collided with the cold light that Yun Feng had shot out. In an instant, the cold light dissipated. Xie Zhe and Guo Liang stood on the spot, their faces extremely ugly. Luckily, Yun Feng stopped attacking. If he continued, they would definitely be dead meat. Yun Feng, if you continue like this, don't blame us for being impolite. Guo Liang said coldly, no matter how strong you are only one person. If Xie Zhe and I join forces, we have an 80% chance of killing you. It's not that easy to kill me. Although he said that, Yun Feng's heart was heavy. Guo Liang was right. If he and Xie Zhe joined forces, there was a high chance that they could kill him. Yun Feng did not expect that Guo Liang and Xie Zhe would really consume their lives to block his all-out attack. My main mission is to capture the golden arowana fish king. Looking at the enraged Xie Zhe and Guo Liang, Yun Feng muttered. He came to Giant Shield City this time not to take revenge for Meng Quan and the others, but to capture the golden arowana fish king and bring it to the Elixir Refinement Union. The Elixir Refinement Union's chief Elixir Refinement Master would personally refine the elixir. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.